3 days, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year to achieve. With AI tools, we can do that within hours or minutes, right? For example, now you can quickly have an understanding of a research by prompting, what most of us know, ChatGPT, and saying you need summary of this particular context, and you grab that summary immediately. That's something that you would have to go through the entire text of maybe 34, 35, or 350 pages of books. But now you have that with just one prompt. So for me, change means things getting better, faster, and us having access to the right information right at our fingertips with AI. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Femi. Shogo, what does change means to you?
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. So changes, it's something that we can't do without. And if you want to see progress, you would have to consider change. And sometimes change is very difficult because the process of change would require growth. It will require inconvenience. And I'll go in this direction quickly. If I know the demography in the room is mixed, so if we talk about the year 2005 backwards, so that's like when computers became very popular. Now I've shared this example a lot in different places, how that at that particular time, I know I was very much younger, of course, but I remember that we had what we call typewriters, right? For people that are very young in the room, they may not have even seen what a typewriter is before, right? But my dad had a secretary then that used to be a typist, right? They called them typists. Now, the point about change here is that, do we still type today?
No.
We still type. No,
Okay,
we still type, right?
Yeah,
but do we still use typewriters?
No.
No, we don't. Now, so early 2003, 2004, 2005, right? Computers, desktops came on board. Now, you would see that there was a change. But what we really needed to do was to type. Do we still type today? So we type on our phones today. We type on our laptops today. We type on different, in fact, people type on holograms today, right? People have VRs, we have ARs, right? That people interact with today. The major thing here is the core of what we really want to do still remains, but how we do it has changed. Now, so reading, writing, and all of those things are going to remain, but the way we do it would actually evolve over time. So I see change as evolution. I see change as something that should be embraced, not something that we should run away from, because people see AI and think, the first thing people are thinking about is, oh, how AI will take our jobs. But do you know that between 2022 when, and this is what I will cap it with, between 2022 when OpenAI announced and released to the public ChatGPT, and now multiple jobs that never existed pre-2022 now exist. So while some people are harnessing the opportunity, some people are looking at, oh, AI is coming to take my job. Before 2022, we didn't really hear a lot about prompt engineering, but today people are employed, gainfully employed, and are working as prompt engineers. We have eval engineers. We have different kinds of levels of people actually doing different things with the evolution that is happening. So I see change as evolution that should constantly be embraced. It may be difficult, it may be inconvenient, but it's something that will definitely happen per time.
Thank you so much. So, CJ, what does change means to you?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Everybody looks beautiful, by the way. Yeah. Well, to me, I started my career as I draw with my hand, right? Like I started illustrating, and that was the basis of my earnings. I think for the past maybe, let's say the last 10, 20 years, because I started really, really early. I started illustrations early. And when AI came, I was one of the biggest haters of AI. Like I was always posting on my status, like, say no to AI art, say no to AI. But then I thought to myself, okay, like if I don't evolve with this, I'll be left behind. That was like one of the breaking points for me, because like I started seeing job listings having specifications, must have AI knowledge. I was like, if I don't adapt to this, definitely I'll be left behind. So when we niche it down to storytelling, I feel change has always been the pulse of storytelling, because without change, there wouldn't be documentation. right? Like, let me give example with how our forefathers used to do it. They used to carve on stones, some used to write on trees. So it was constantly evolving. So change, adding AI to this whole context now, I'd say what changed isn't how we read. It is why we read. So whether you use AI to read or you use a book to read, one thing still remains: why? What are you looking for? So AI now, let me use ChatGPT as an example. It's like a one-stop shop. You walk into a shop and you see, maybe you went there with the intention of getting meds, and then maybe you wanted to make a stop to pick groceries, and maybe you wanted to buy shoes or other stuff, and then you walk into one shop and then boom, there's meds, there's groceries. So I feel like everybody should embrace AI and embrace the change that comes with it, because one thing is for sure, it is here to stay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I hope we all believe that change is a constant thing, right? So we all need to evolve, we all need to change, because at every point in time, we were not here last year, we were not here last 3 years or 4 years. This was not how we are. So I hope we have to evolve as the world is also changing, right? So the first question I would like to ask, personal question, will be going to Shogo. You have built predictive systems and LLMs. How do you see data and AI transforming how people learn, read, and absorb knowledge today?
Okay. How people learn, read, and absorb knowledge. Yeah. So I've not built LLMs, in quote, let me put that disclaimer.
But you have worked.
Yeah, of course. So, so how the approach, right, is going to be a little bit different than how we've been doing it. Now, I always tell people that AI is an efficiency to whatever you're doing. Either you're learning, either you're reading, either you're absorbing knowledge. Now, we need to understand, like I said earlier, we need to understand how that we should harness these tools that are now available to us. So, and we cannot harness it if we don't understand it. So I think just like when, I know some of us may be aware about the .com bubble, when internet became very popular, and when internet became popular, literally everybody wanted to move their offline business. It's still happening today, of course, because, of course, in Nigeria, people are still trying to adopt this technology. But in a place like maybe the US or in Europe, right, literally, if you have a business, automatically you have to have an online presence. Now, that is what we're entering into. How that, if you are doing anything, like you would need to be integrated with LLMs. You need to be integrated with AI systems. I was reading something yesterday. I was reading about, what's it called? It's a new optimization engine. I think it's an AI search optimization engine or something. How that you optimize your products to be searchable via LLMs so that they can maybe find you. We're doing a customer research recently, and before a little digression. So we're doing a customer research from our users recently, and we asked questions from our users, and one of them told us that, oh, we actually found you guys on ChatGPT. That I was trying to look for apps that can do X, Y, Z, and I asked it, and your company was one of the companies that it told us. Now, 5 years ago, it would be Google that they will search. 10 years ago, it would be Google that they will search. In fact, the use of Google has reduced compared to some years ago. In fact, for people that are software engineers or people that are familiar with maybe writing code one way or the other, Stack Overflow used to be the place where all engineers used to go to when they had issues previously. Now it's ChatGPT, now it's Claude, now it's different AI tools, right? So my point here is that as these tools are coming, we need to learn how to use them, how to harness them. So you don't need to be technical. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need to be employed or gainfully employed as somebody that is in the field. It's going to be like, I studied accounting or business management, and I know how to use a computer. I need to know how to use a computer, because when I'm employed to work as an accountant in an organization, if I don't know how to use a computer, I will not be able to deliver efficiency. Now, maybe in school you were taught with pen and book, but when you get into the office, there are softwares that you now have to use, right? So the same thing works here when we talk about absorbing knowledge, when we talk about learning. The first thing is that we need to learn how to use these tools so that we can leverage them, because, like you said, right, they've come to stay, definitely come to stay. So we need to learn about them.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, based on what you said, right, I feel like our system, our educational system is very, very poor. Because why do I have to get to university or maybe out of school before I can be able to use a system, right? Because this is something we ought to have in public schools, not just private schools. Even if you see some private schools, they cannot afford a system, a desktop, not to talk of a laptop. So when do our younger ones get to, how do I put it, get to learn? Because the world is like evolving really fast. And these Gen Alphas that are coming right now, they are, they are something, something to write home about, right? So how do we get to like reach that pace?
Okay. No, I want to understand your question because it's like you're asking me a government. You're asking me a government. But no, I want to see it from the perspective you're looking at it from. You are saying basically, based on what is available to us now.
Yes.
Like how can we still leverage
We
the
know
little
that,
resources?
yes, because out of our population, maybe like 200 million thereabouts, let me say, maybe, I don't want to put a percentage to it so that they don't come about after me. So I would say that, let's say maybe 1 million have access to it. So what happens to the 99% of the people that don't? How do they get to? Because this like, yes, you can go ahead, please.
Sorry, before you go, I just wanted to say, when you said our educational system is bad, it triggered something inside me. I don't know why. Because lately I've been saying we are mostly speaking too negative about the future of this country, right? We know our reality is not as good as it is, but if you go outside Nigeria, you will know that the reality outside Nigeria also is not friendly to the citizen there. But they still try their best to still speak, to still give you that narrative that is all rosy. But when you get in, you know that, okay, life is actually here too. So, to answer your question, that's a very social government, there are a lot of things that go in there. But the truth about it is, it starts with us as individuals, right? And it starts with platforms like this. Right, that's why I first said let's give a round of applause to the organizers of this, right? Because if there is no awareness with the little that we have, the knowledge cannot spread across. Because the reality of it is, these tools are there, right? Today, I'm sure I'm going to hear another new tool that somebody just built as we are speaking right now, But the truth of it is, there are fundamentals where these young children that are still in school, that we can still teach them, that we can still expose them to the little that we have, the phones that we have in our hands. The thing is, this technology is now close to us. It's not far anymore. It's not, back when, I think when I was in secondary school, the first time I touched a computer was the one that came to our computer lab, But it's not that way anymore. You as a parent, you as an uncle, you as an auntie, you have a phone, right? You have a phone that you can expose. You have I think there are some YouTube channels, there are some very educational YouTube channels that these kids can get exposed, and they're accessible, they are free, right? Even ChatGPT is free, at least to an extent. Gemini is free. And the reason why these things are free is because, although there are some downsides to it as well, getting access to you as best as they can, but there's also a benefit. It's simple. It's just a chatbot. The duty is now on you to prompt it and get what you want, right? So it's now more like the technology that we thought was so big, it's now getting basic to us. So you don't need a very gymnastics technical ability to interact with ChatGPT or to interact with Gemini. You don't. You just need to know what you want. right? You just need to understand what you want and know what you want. So it's now more about a responsibility on us, right, to utilize this technology effectively and then teach the younger generations in the process, and not wait for, a glorified gathering before that happens. Because, to be honest, it might never come, right? So the onus is on us to say, the first school for my child is the technology that I have access to, the television, the phone, at least the ones you have around, right? Let them learn from it, and also the kind of things you speak as well. Those things matter. You understand? For example, myself, like I said, the first time I had access to computer was when they brought it to our computer lab. And I think that time it was MTN, when MTN was doing MTN Foundation. I went to a public school, by the way. So when MTN was doing MTN Foundation, and that was when I had access. And then when I got into uni, I started struggling that, okay, this computer is like, I need to actually know this thing. You understand? And I studied computer science. I studied computer science. And today I write programs. I build those softwares as well. I had to, it wasn't like an onus on teachers to teach us, things like that. But now it's better, right? You have access to this technology right in your palms, right in your pockets, right on your TV, right? So the onus now is, I'm not going to look at a government body, a social body, to do that for our young generation. It's on us as adults. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do you still have something to contribute?
Thank you so much. So when we talk about where we are and actually how we can harness the opportunities, I started my career in tech. The first thing I ever did was to be in robotics, and it was sort of like a non-profit that was an outreach to children who were in public schools. So what we did then was, LABAF was the name. It was in Oluwasogo University, with partnership with, I think, Google and some other organizations then. So what we did was, we would teach ourselves how to use those robots. Then we'll go to public schools. So we'll go to Bomosho, places in Ife, different places. Then we'll go to these public schools to teach those children. We know they can't afford to, robotics kits, NXT or EV3, very expensive, right? So we go there, we teach them, they like it, and it gives them a sort of exposure. In fact, the first time I would have access to work with robots, in fact, the best of robots I've seen were from movies. So having access to a robot in 2016, and I saw that, we could really have access to this. So it created an exposure in my own mind. So we went for this, it's still, I think it's still old, NRO, so National Robotics Olympiad. So there's a version in Nigeria that you go for. Then I saw kids, they came to us and I mean, is it basic 2 or basic whatever? And they all knew how to. They all knew how to. And I get in basic 6 and you know how to do this. When I was in basic 6, which is like maybe primary 6, right? Yeah. I don't know what I was doing with my life. But you are here. So that exposure is not accessible to everybody. That's the reality. So we have people who still trek to school without sandals. We have people who still are in the rural places. That's the reality of many people. Now, like I always say, right, it is now the responsibility of those people who you went to a public school. I went to public and private school, but the point here is, it's now our responsibility, those of us who have come out of those public systems, rural areas, to now give back. I think you read my profile, I run a cohort-based bootcamp to train people for free in data, anything related to data and AI. We're in the 4th cohort. And we don't do it like, because it's free, we'll do it anyhow. It's standard. We have partnership with DataCamp. We are doing it in a very standard way to help people who are coming and cannot afford. Because I know what it will cost you. If you want to pay for that on Udacity, maybe in Canada, in Nigeria, whatever, now you want to use that experience to teach other people that are coming behind you. So I think if we replicate it that much, I think it's going to be really nice. That's the way bacteria expand. I can't remember what it's called now, right? So I think that's from the perspective I'm looking at it from.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So for me, I feel like one way to help the public school or the school system in itself is to instill the love of it. It's one thing to teach someone something in a very, very boring way. Like, growing up, I didn't know I was ever going to be into tech because I never liked computer science or any of it because of the way it was taught to me. Like, they make it sound as if the way they teach you, you think that if you don't do this, you're going to die or something, yeah? So it's one thing to instill the love in their hearts, and it's another thing to be able to pick who's actually good at this and support them. I come from a medical background, yeah, and I come from a family of people who are into the medical field, right? And then I was like the black sheep who was leaning towards animations, design, and tech, and all of that stuff. So every time I was doing my stuff on the side, like I could have schoolwork, but I'd be at the dining using my computer to do, and then they were always trying to restrict me. And then I further on went to even practice at a hospital and all of that. Then I got a gig, like a tech gig, and then I did it, and it came out really well. And then I showed up to my family, and I was like, okay, this thing you people are stopping me from is like, I'm still being leaned towards it too, because I got a gig and all of that. So I feel instilling the love, right? Because if I had, let me use me as an example. If I didn't have the determination to proceed, I probably would have killed that dream entirely. So parents should recognize their children. Yeah, it's very important to recognize your children and what they're after. I have a niece who's good at this, but her mom is pushing her towards the sciences, right? And then every time I step in, they think, okay, I'm trying to stop their daughter from becoming a doctor and all of that, but I see it. So I think it's very important for parents to see this. And then the school system, even if they don't have the tools for it, I think there's a way of instilling the love of it. Like, you know, one way or another, just pitching to the kids that, okay.
Because of all the notes you are writing, and all of those things, it makes you feel like, no, you can't understand it or you can't know it. So I'm glad we're having this conversation, and this is what LABAF is all about. This is what CORA is all about, to educate us, to know more, and to give back to the community, right? So thank you very much. And I would like to ask Femi, is AI democratizing social storytelling or creating new gatekeepers?
Okay. AI is I think is in the middle because
Well, it cannot be auto code.
I'll tell you where it's leaning more to,
Okay.
and why I said it's in the middle is because there's something in AI that we call, I think it's federated learning, where there is a branch of machine learning that is saying we shouldn't have a big model that is doing all the work, right? So we should spread it across little computers and allow them also have access to that data, right? And also be able to, for example, I give you an example. A very good example is autocomplete. You know, when you are typing on your phone and you have something that immediately suggests the next thing for you to type. Before, what they would do is that to suggest the next thing to type, there would be an external source that will be called from your phone. I don't want to use technical terms, but sort of like an API that will be called to get inference and suggest the next word for you to type. Now we've realized that that's not cool, that's slow, that's not efficient, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Okay, can we bring that into the device itself? So to answer your question is that in terms of storytelling, now you have, if I want to write a text, for example, to describe or to tell a story as a writer, right? I now have a co-pilot as ChatGPT or Gemini, or even on my text editor, right? That is providing me inference. Now, the thing is, the reason why I said it can be both is because that model that is suggesting to you ways to do it better can be biased, can be giving you suggestions that are based on how it was trained. You know, for example, most of these models are not trained on the African context, right? So if they are not trained on the African context, it means whatever they are providing you can be biased, sort of, might not be the actual sense of what it should actually be. So the truth is, the responsibility is still on you, the writer, right? To understand that this tool is not going, that's why when you hear people say AI is going to make you dumber, it's just like you telling the world that you are a lazy writer. Because if you own your work, right, and you own the, how will I put it? There's a word I'm looking for. The uniqueness, the authenticity of your work, right? Regardless of the suggestions I'm getting from the model, it's not changing my work. It's not changing the story I'm trying to tell. It's only making me tell it better. Do you understand? So it's just like when you see a lazy writer just types, tell me about LABAF, for example. You're not doing your research. You're not going into the actual detail, right? You're just relying on suggestions that you're getting from an external model. So to answer that question is that I would say let's not look at AI as a gatekeeper or as the technology that is going to democratize it, like going to make it spread across regions. The responsibility is still on us, but it's just for us to use these tools to tell our story better. You understand? Just like the example he made that before we used to use typewriters, right? We started using Microsoft Word. Now we are using, I don't know what we're using now. I think we're using Notion. Some people are using Notion. Some people are using Google Docs. Some people are using a lot of tools, right? The tools are there. Gemini is there. It is only there to augment what we are doing, to make it better. It's just like a programmer that there's this thread that someone tweeted, I think it was yesterday night, and the person was saying, I turned off my autocomplete because it's always confusing me. Obviously, you know that for someone to tweet that, it means he knows what he wants to write. But this thing keeps suggesting something to me. I'm just going to turn this thing off and just concentrate on what I'm going to write. Then tell it, okay, make it better for me. That's how we should approach it. Not think of it as a gatekeeper or as the person that's going to spread it across for us. No, the responsibility is still on us, but we should just use the tool to do what we want to achieve.
Thank you so much. CJ, do you have any contribution to that? What about Sugar? All right. So I would like to ask everyone on the panel section, who do you think should own the book? Is it the generator? The person prompting the AI. Is it the AI or the engineers? Yes.
Is that to me? Okay,
anyone can go
answer
first.
I think the person who prompted it should own it.
Why?
Reason being that if you don't give it the prompt, it's not going to give you anything. So in a way, it's more like a collaboration, right? Like we tend to say, okay, it's owned by the AI itself, but if you didn't give it that prompt or direct it in the way, you know the output you're looking for, like you know what it wants, you want it to give you back. So you should own it. But then one thing I feel like we should do is be transparent about the collaboration, right? Like I write the book, it's my book, but collaborated with so too. That's what I feel like. I feel you should own it, because who else is going to own it? Who else did the prompting? Who else wrote it? Who else researched it? Yeah, so if I'm writing a piece on African continent, right, and then AI probably doesn't even know about the Kogi State people. It does, but maybe its knowledge of my people are diluted. And then I'm telling him, maybe I ask it for like the color of my traditional attire, for example, and then it adds a color that doesn't belong to my traditional attire. And I tell it, okay, take out the red, use a yellow. That's me.
But you're still using other people's work, right? AI, it still has to get like information from Google and other places.
If I can say something, right? In my opinion, right, and it's a very personal opinion, to be honest, I think no one owns it.
Why?
Because.
But I had to go and read the privacy policy, and OpenAI says.
I'll say it. I'll break it down. Because you can argue from a user point of view and say you own that work. For example, if I prompt ChatGPT or whatever image generation stuff to say blah, 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 generate this video for me to do this, you believe you own the idea. You prompted it. But the truth of it is that The developer can argue that it's his work. The platform can argue that we gave you the button to download. We generated it, and we provided you with a button, and you downloaded it, right? And that person can claim, the model can say it's its own, because he went to had to do a lot of pattern matching, make sense of the context of what you are saying, try to personalize it where you were doing that prompt from, all of that work, all of that computing work, use their computing power to generate that thing for you and then provide you with the output. So I would say why I said no one is because I think it's a shared ownership. Okay. It's a shared ownership across. So if you now want to own the work, right, it's where your own authenticity has to come in. There has to be something that it's not as if it's just like you said you're an illustrator or an animator, right? Are you relying, it's just like me, I'm not an animator. You understand? If I want to use a video generation model, for example, I'm just going to prompt it and sit back and wait for the results. I'm not going to open Adobe Premiere or all of those. I'm not going to bother myself about it. I'm just going to do it and publish it. In fact, I don't even care about the ownership, to be honest. I just maybe want to make money out of it and move on. But for you, your approach would be, okay, give me an idea. I have 10 ideas now. Okay, then I build or I design something out of that. At that point, whatever you build out of that is your own.
Okay, so I think I have a different perspective of that. Okay. And it's fine, like it's a panel. That's why we have different minds. So the way I look at that kind of a question is, we need to see tools as tools and recognize users as users. Then where this thin line always lie, right, is always in the terms and conditions that many of us don't read. So I want to ask a question. If there is a couple, they are pregnant, and they go deliver their baby at the hospital, who wants the baby? Is it the doctor, the hospital, or the couple? Who wants the baby, please? Not the hospital. I thought it would be for the hospital. Oh, not the doctor. Oh, the nurse. So that's it. So the perspective I'm bringing here, it is not a black and white perspective. There are perspectives where, there are places where the answer could be the company owns it, the product owns it, the tool owns it, the engineer owns it. Now that's where licenses come in. Before AI tools actually came, there's what we call the open source. Open source are tools that are open for the public to use. So many of the programming languages, many of the libraries that a developer would use, many of the softwares you even use on your computer that are free, many of them are open source. Somebody just, in his loving mind, built them, then gave you access. Now, in that same scenario, that is not even AI now. When you are projecting, maybe in church or in a program or something, you are using something very free, right? Who should own that particular thing? Can the company that has built that thing come and lay claim on it? No, they won't lay claim on it because they've built it for your usability. So that's where the terms and conditions, the licenses come in. If you are very familiar with open source or you write software that is open source, there's license we call the Apache license, there's the MIT license. These licenses have different modalities to them, and they give the right to whoever is using them. So if I have built with MIT license and I publish that everybody is free to use this, when you use it, I can't lay claim on it. There are licenses that you have as a product or a platform, how that when you as a company or you as an individual start making X amount of money, you need to compensate us for using our software or our product. So I don't really see it as a black and white thing. It's like you said, I like what you said about authenticity. How that you who are building, it's all about sincerity to yourself. You who are building, you prompted something, design me a lady that is wearing a gown, and you printed it as your work and posted it on Twitter that this is, this is my work, I am a good illustrator. At that point, you are deceiving yourself at that point. So authenticity is not really there, right? So what I see it as is your
Authenticity.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
It's fine.
Thank you. You know, let me say originality, right, is there. Permit me. And your originality is there, your mind is there, your creativity is there. Now, when you bring your creativity with these tools, you are going to be performing wonders. The same way if you have access to a computer, I can't say because I'm using a MacBook or a Dell or an HP and I did something with that computer, then my work now belongs to HP or Dell. Do you understand? So that's the perspective I view. I think you want to say something.
Yeah, yes, please. I wanted to just buttress on his open source thing, because Blender is open source, but Blender is an animation tool that most animators use. We don't pay for it. It's free. Whatever you do on Blender is yours. But the platform gave it open source, but then they gave an option to donate. Like, let's say you use this tool and then you make money out of it. In your goodwill, you could send money back to the platform. But one thing is they've started integrating AI models, because everybody wants UI UX. Everybody wants an easier workflow for people using their tools. So Blender has added an AI model. Before, if we want to model a character, we have to model. But now they have a predictive machine that just figures out, like, okay, I drew this side, the other side gets complete. So in that case, if I use a tool like that, I feel like I still own my work. And integrating AI into animation. Let me use an example. I want to do a model, but let's say the script I get from the client is.
Work faster, but don't you think, let me think deep. Before I think deep, I'll grab this AI. Before I think deep, I'll grab this AI that AI please advise me before I go into. Don't you think it's killing our creativity?
I don't think so. I'll put it like this. I use AI a lot. And the context to it I use AI is writing code, for instance. And this is the example. If I who is from arts background, maybe studies arts, okay, good. So if those of us right now, right, we have access to the same tools, and I ask you to prompt the system to create a program to do something, I am very sure that I can do it. It's not going to be that I prompted you to do it. Do you know that? Do you know that? So what is the difference between the result I get and the result? It's your creativity, your experience, your thought process. So people are always like, AI is going to free your creativity. AI could do that. It could do that because you could decide that, I'm not going to use my brain to do anything. Just like you were saying, what's LABAF, right? You could decide to relax and not do any study, any reading, you're not imbibing any knowledge anymore. But on the other side, you could also be imbibing knowledge, using the knowledge you're imbibing to create new things. So I've been writing codes in like 2016, and for many people, they'll say that kind of experience is someone like a senior engineer. Now, for someone like us, like starting to write code today, if they tell us to go do the same thing, and I prompt the system, and a junior engineer in code prompts the system, I'm not going to get the same results. My years of experience will let me prompt it with edge cases, with scenarios that I have seen over the years, with things that I know that this younger person does not know. So that's where your creativity is. So it's like many years ago, we now have what we call high-level programming languages, right? Some years ago, what we had were low-level assembly language, where you have to write zeros and ones, right? Sorry, computer science now. Where you have to write zeros and ones, and you needed to write things that didn't make sense to the brain. And that was what people were really using to build. What a lot of people in my career to be able to prompt it enough and tell it that, oh, this is what you've done here. I don't need to be like this. I need to be like this. So do this. And in 3 days, I'm setting up a full-blown software, a full-blown company in 3 days, in 4 days, in 1 week.
Wow.
Now, it will have taken 5, 6 engineers 3 months because we go over iterations.
Or
It may not be
6.
perfect, right? But it's able to do the minimal things it's supposed to do. So when you go about creativity, I look at it as whether it is killing their creativity, the person is just lazy on their own. So you're supposed to use it. If you're a student, use it. And if anybody is maybe a lecturer or whatnot here, you shouldn't maybe not allow students to not use these tools. The only thing is that there should be boundaries in plagiarism. You shouldn't just put out your assignment and you should take it back. People should be taught how these tools should be used correctly and in a way that is decent.
Yeah, just to add to what you've said, thank you very much. Again, it's not killing our creativity. I don't want to talk about software engineering. I want to talk about music. How Fela performed, it's not how, which artist can I call now? It's not how Ashake performs today. The original, I don't want to say originality, the live feeling of the band, all of those where you have to, if you watch Fela's performance, you hear him just doing shekere, 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 arranging it one by one, 2 by 2, 1 by 1, with a band of percussionists, guitarists, different guys. But now, you have a music producer that sits down in his studio and can cook all of that in 1 hour. Is he creative? Yes, he's creative. In fact, they are going to the Grammys. They are winning the Grammys. They are doing it faster. So AI is not killing creativity. It's augmenting it. It's making it better. It's bringing it closer to us. So it's not, in fact, it's even exposing who is not creative. It's even saying, bros, you don't have an excuse. Prompt ChatGPT. Yes. There are times that an engineer on my team would say, I'm going back to engineering, I didn't want to go there, but an engineer on my team would say, we are stuck, we don't know how to figure it out. I will tell you expressly, prompt Gemini, prompt ChatGPT, you have access to this thing. If you are still stuck, okay, then you can look for an engineer to help you on it. So if you are still stuck, it means that, okay, we should question your competence, right? Because now you have an AI tool, you have a computer in front of you. What is the void there? Is your creativity. If you are not able to use the tools that you have access to, then there's a problem. So it's now putting more responsibility on us to be creative, to read more, to want to know these skills, right? There's no more excuse to be lounging around. There's someone that says something that says, we are going to the age where just small bit of seriousness puts you on the edge. You understand? For example, if you wanted to prepare for a public speaking event, right? And you want to prepare in 1 hour. You have a very busy schedule. You don't even know what to talk about. You have public speakers that before they would have to go through a lot of materials, have to wrap their head around all of those things, spend a lot of time. But now, you have an assistant, an AI assistant, that you just prompt, gives you an idea, and you go there and deliver your creativity because you already have the information. Now, it's now about how creative we are as individuals. It's no more about, we don't have access to what is in America. America is America, for crying out loud. Yes, we know. But me and you also have access to some of these tools that are used to create mind-blowing inventions. Like he said before, what would take a lot of iteration for engineers to build, now you can build it in your room within 3 days. So just a bit of seriousness to sit down with one thing for 3 days, you have outputs. You built a company, or you want to write a book, what would take you going through a lot of materials You have access to Gemini, ChatGPT. So it's not killing creativity. It's only helping us harness our creativity better, right? Make use of that creativity better, so to speak. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Do you have something?
Okay, so I have a bit of a different opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a bit of a different opinion. I feel, okay, medically, yeah, routine. If you keep a child and you're always like giving him stuff and not giving him access to using his mind to get things done, it redunds the brain. One thing I would say is it's important to have the foundation, the rugged foundation. Like learn it the hard way, then use the assistant. To, let's say you made mention of being stuck, like and then you linked it to your professionalism or like how professional you are. Writer's block, creative blocks happen. So I encourage the usage of AI and some of these things as part of the process, but not the full process. Because you want to be a designer, you want to be a top-notch senior level graphic designer, but you're using ChatGPT in your early stage. You didn't get the experience with the tools, you didn't use the softwares, you don't know Adobe, but you're a graphic designer. You want to use Canva, it's out there for you, but you don't know how to build your templates yourself, you're using someone else's templates. That kind of, I feel like it doesn't do you so much good, because in the long run, when you get to senior level, it's going to show. Yeah. You won't even get to senior level. So I recommend this usage as an assistant, but not like the pilot of the full journey. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you so much, because I also can relate to this. I remembered when I was learning how to code, and I was using online platform, right? And we are given an assignment. I did not attend class that day, and I tried to use Gemini. Oh my God, I was stuck. I could not go forward, I could not go back. I just had to go and watch the recording, and I was like, okay, I just have to sit down and learn how to do this thing, because it was way, way different. Because I know there are some people that vibe code, and there are some people that actually sit down to write the code, right? So I feel like in all of this, we still have to use our own personal creativity, because AI would actually be biased, right? It will always be biased, because we humans are the one that create it, and we humans are biased. So with that, we still need to add our own creativity to it. So yes, that's my own 1 cent to this. So I would like to ask Shogo, how can AI help preserve and amplify African oral traditions and multilingual storytelling?
Nice. I just got back from a conference in Uganda, and this same question was asked, but not in the writing creative industry space. Okay. Is more of the medicine. How that there are many oratory traditional healing systems that we have in Africa, and some of those things were passed with words over the years. Some of those things were not written down in books, right? And how do we preserve that? Now, so when you talk about from this space and this industry, it's almost sort of like the same thing, because I think we do a lot of training in Africa, like in Nigeria, with words than even with writings. We do a lot of knowledge. We have a lot of tacit knowledge. Like we pass knowledge via. In fact, there's this joke too, that how that maybe if you are from the Yoruba, how that maybe you go out with your parents and you're doing something stupid, and your daddy or your mom just looks at you like this. Hey. You already figure. You already get the memo, right? Message. You get the message. So that is not in writing. There's nowhere. Maybe they gathered all our parents together and say, okay, now all of you, this is when you are going out with your child, so this is what you do. No, there's no way they did that. So by default, it's like everybody's laughing here. I've never met you before, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So the point here is, one is we need to start identifying that we are not the West. You are not America. You are not Europe. You are not Australia, you are Africa. And the mode or the modus operandi of multiple things is different from how it is done there. And if we keep looking at how it is done in America, how it is done in Australia, how it is done in Europe, we may never figure out, and that is why we are struggling a lot. Because, one, it's not as if we're not progressive as a people in Africa, but it's like we have always wanted to copy step by step how the West has actually done it. Now, I'm not against us, of course. Without the West technology, we will not be where we are today. But we need to start identifying what is our uniqueness. What is our peculiarity? Our peculiarity revolves around a lot of rooted traditional things and cultural things that we are neglecting. Now, when we talk about traditional and cultural things that we are neglecting, one of them is this oral knowledge being passed. And when we look at this oral knowledge being passed, we are sort of running away and we are looking at it as, oh, we need to document. And our form of documentation, sorry to go a little bit extra traditional. You know, if you studied arts, like the folks who said they studied arts, you do things, especially the Yoruba aspect, you do things related to like Oduifa. Oduifa is words, am I correct? If you are born in the Ifa family, they will pass this knowledge from a very young age. They will teach you all those things from a very young age till you grow, such that from your head you will recite those things. You don't meet them and you see them bringing out some books and say, okay, so what does verse 2 say? They don't have verse 2. Everything is in the head. So we must find ways where we partner. So if you are building, for instance, we have machine learning engineers, we have, this is a mixed gathering of people who are engineers, who are writers, who are readers. There should be a collaboration where people who are knowledgeable about these things are able to partner with people who are also able to, are experts that can train models in this form. Because we have knowledge that are not documented anywhere. I have some friends from school who own a company, Dimension 11. They are building games on PS5 and Xbox, Legends of Orisha. Before they could get access to knowledge about some of those things that they were building, they said they had to write letters to the federal government to access some of those because the knowledge was not anywhere. So you will see how that some of the things that are even from our own lineage and our own families, the knowledge is not anywhere. You don't know. Some people here cannot even speak their I'm not talking about Yoruba, their dialect. I'm not talking about the general Igbo language. You cannot even speak your dialect because there's a place you come from. There is a particular dialect.
Do they know their hometown?
Okay, some people have never been to their hometown. So we need to, have you been to your hometown?
Yes.
Okay.
Once.
So we need to look at it from this perspective and say that we need to, one, protect the posterity of our culture. Protect the posterity of the kind of knowledge we have in Africa. That knowledge is coming through the words. How do we document those words? How do we train models to understand those things? So if I'm asking deep things now about Yoruba culture, ChatGPT cannot give me answer. It can't. But we have people who are elderly here. And the funny thing here is that our generation, the Gen Z generation, we have little knowledge about a lot of things. Our parents have more knowledge, right? And maybe they were more busy during their time, and they could not pass this knowledge to us. So we are now more bougie. We are more interested in Netflix, more classic. We are not interested in that. That knowledge is nothing. But this is knowledge that even the people who are in the West would want to do a lot of things to get.
They are getting it already.
They are getting it. So I think for us, when it comes to exactly, sir. So we're happily buying it. So what I think we should do as a people is, one, there should be a lot of collaboration. Collaboration between different generations. Collaboration between different experts. People that are experts, give me a sec. People that are experts in the art field, people that are experts in the machine learning field. I don't know how many of us have heard of this company, Speech. What they are doing in Speech is basically, it's a Nigerian company. What they are doing in Speech is that they are building models that can translate into traditional languages. So you have a model that can speak Yoruba fluently. They already have it launched. You have a model that can speak Hausa fluently. A model that can speak Igbo fluently. So those are the kind of platforms we should be partnering with. How that we are loading this knowledge, this tacit knowledge, into the systems via words, recorded hours. Because without it, the OpenAI is not going to. OpenAI should not even come to Africa to be the one to build such things before us.
So don't you think there is a gap between the people that are in the tech and people that are in the traditional phase? Because I work for, oh, I'm not supposed to say this, God. But, okay, but a company that does like African posts, traditional and all of that, right? And when we post about people doing Ifa, people doing this, people doing that, and you are saying, I cover you with the blood of Jesus. You are not this thing. If you don't do this, God is going to fire you or Jesus. So where do, how do we bridge this? How do we bridge the gap? Because if we don't, how do they get to use this?
Yeah.
Because that means we are building for a kind of secluded people, right?
Okay, so, you know, when it comes to the topic of religion, things like that, I like us to understand that religion is part of our culture in this part of the world. Whether traditional, whether Christianity, whether Muslim. The African man believes that there is something up there. Yeah. Right? So how you sell it to him matters a lot. So the thing is, just like he said, most of those knowledge, they are not documented. And the way we learn is not really in writing, but I want to still say that we need to come to writing. Because knowledge is not in the space. Knowledge has to be documented somewhere. And until that is done, right, how do you train a model without data? You can't train a model without data. You can have all the we don't have the computing power yet, but we don't even have the data yet. So for us to have the data, we have to do the dirty work. Go there, sit with the guys that have the data, document the data, right? And then, and that's why, again, platforms like this are amazing. But the thing is, I wasn't really expecting a crowd because you know that to put an African man to sit down and listen, maybe we need a
people online too.
religious, I know, maybe we need a religious person, something that he can look up to and say, oh, okay, something is here. You know? So we need to sell knowledge to ourselves in a way that, just like he said, from the younger generation, make them have interest in these things early enough. One of the reasons why we don't give time to reading is because of the way we were brought up. It's not really our fault. It's not really like we decided not to like knowledge. No, it's the way our ecosystem works, right? But when you see, and most of the places where the knowledge is documented again, is these religious bodies. You have the Bible. You have the Quran. You have, I think you have some Ifa books now. You have some of them. They are documented. So the only way for us to see an AI, recently, to see an AI, so to speak, revolution, or so to speak, optimizing how we do things, making life better for you and I, is we need to do the dirty work of the data. And I think you have few companies that are doing that, few tech companies that, you know, do the dirty work to do data collection, you know, sit down, document these things. How does the market woman run her business? How much does she make daily? How does she get her customers? How does she, and to be honest, those talking about market women, the major money, the major fintech is in this market. Yes. That's where the business is. So there's so much data. I think recently there was a company, MoneyPoint, released one report on data. We need more things like that. Because at the end of the day, that's the foundation of everything. ChatGPT, OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, these wonderful tech companies, they have the infrastructure, right? Can we partner? Yes, but what are we partnering with? It's the data that we have. So I would say the first foundation of everything is us not shying away from documentation. We need to document these things. Okay, why does the Yoruba man wear his, I think when I was getting married, they say I should not wear my cap like this. That I should wear it like this. Yeah. Nobody told me that. It was on that day that I said, no, you don't wear it like that. You have to wear it like that. I said, why? They said that's how it's done. It's not documented anywhere. Would I, maybe the night of my wedding, I prompted ChatGPT, how do I wear my cap? The guy would say, wear it forward. Anyhow you like. Yeah, because he doesn't care, he doesn't know. So these things need to be documented. We need to do the dirty work. And the thing is, we've done so well with software engineering. Honestly, we've done so well. We've built amazing fintech products. We've built amazing, mostly fintech products, to be honest. E-commerce products, things like that. We need more data companies. A company that is just, there are companies that, OpenAI is not the data company driving the company. There is a data company that OpenAI goes to and say, we need data on this niche, and they provide the infrastructure for it. We need more things like that. Until that's done, then, we are still getting there.
Okay. For all my tech people that are online or on site, this is another company that you can actually go into, but it's going to waste your time a lot. If you have the time. I don't know if Tijani has something to say.
I do. So what I think is, as much as we can't get these sources without telling the machine, educating the machine. That's why it's important to have these rural areas, everywhere. Like, it's important for everyone to have access to this information, because you can't have a collective of people always talking about this, right? But if individually we converse with our chatbot, it's stealing our data already, but then it's educating itself on our tradition. Let's say, for example, the hat, probably there was no data on it, on how to wear or what side of whether front, backwards, but you asked it, and now it knows. Let's say it tells you where it's, or you didn't, but let's say someone asks it, what direction should I wear my hat? And then it gives you a source that says, turn it this way. But then one of your uncles here, you fact checked from your uncle and say, okay, what direction should I really wear this? And then your uncle tells you, okay, wear it to the other direction. Then you go back to the AI. That's your way of educating the AI. You tell the AI, nah, this is wrong. I'm supposed to wear it that way. It records it, right? Because we can't, most of the information is not accessible to the younger generation, right? Like, especially about tradition and oral and all of that stuff. I don't know so much about my culture, even though I'm trying to return back to it and get as much as I can. But if there's a structure for people in the village to say, okay, Igala people believe in Ibegu, let's, ask about, the AI records it. So it's important to have this partnership, this collaboration between you and the tool. Yeah.
Yes, I believe, because I don't know if anyone could remember when this gele was trending that is from Igbo. I don't know if anyone, that gele is originated from the Igbo, and people were like, no, they had to go and bring out movies that have been done and fast check it that no, that this is Yoruba, that Igbo calls it shafu. And there is a way they tie it. It's not the way Yorubas tie it, because there are 3 ways to tie gele, right? So there are one for the younger generation, for the older generation, and all of that. So that was when people now got to see that, because even Beyonce tied gele, and people were like, this, that. They were like, no, this is from Yoruba, not Igbo, not Hausa, not. So I feel like we having these data, I know that some online platforms are doing that. They have social medias where they put this data on and all of that. But when you get to see people that are saying, I cover myself with the blood of Jesus, what do you do? Like, so I feel like we just need to educate ourselves more, and should I say, just let people know more about our culture. That is not, it's not fetish. This is what the African man is, what we are,
so let me
right?
Ask
okay.
So when it comes to mythologies, right, we are very quick to be happy when they say God of War is out and you want to play it. But when you hear, I'm a Christian, I'm not trying to promote traditional religion, but the point here is still backing on, you're talking about Ogun, and you're seeing it as, oh, why do you want to learn about Ogun or something? Like, why are we triggered by that? But when you hear about Zeus, or you hear about Odeze, and those stories fascinate you, you want to watch Odeze, you want to hear Hercules, you want to hear about Thor. You know, I read mythologies a lot, so I can keep spilling their names. And we know Hector, we know all these stories, and we like them so much. It looks like epic movies, you know. You watch Gladiator, you are so happy watching Gladiator, you are so happy watching all of these movies. But when it comes to things that resonate with our own culture, you feel like, I don't want to know about it.
I don't want people to see
me as a traditionalist. But you can go to the cinema, you go to IMAX for 3 hours, you're watching Gladiator by Idris Elba. What's his name now? What's the other guy? The new Gladiator, I've forgotten his name now. Denzel Washington, right? You can see that in the IMAX, Ebony Life. You can see that in those places, Silverbed, and watch for long hours. You don't have an issue with that. It's literally the same thing. It's just that it's tush. Those ones, their skin color is not the same as your skin color. So you want to go ahead with it. So I feel like you don't necessarily have to, you are not promoting, we're not promoting evil with culture. There are things that are traditional, there are things that are cultural that we need to pass on. There are dressings that today we don't even know of again because there is no record. There's no record about the dressing. There's no record about the... I was asked a question by a professor from Nigeria and Uganda. She told me, she said, you're talking about tacit knowledge. You're talking about people passing knowledge via words. She now said, how do you actually pass intonation? Because when you talk about intonation, the way an Ijebu man that this thing never existed, people say it's a lie. People will say that what belongs to you is not your own because there is no documentation for it. So the intonation, the knowledge, the way we do things, the approach to which we do it. If you ask those questions from ChatGPT, you cannot answer it. So it's our responsibility. And I'm not even depending on, because I work with an organization where we work with all the major Anthropic, Microsoft, Google, whatever. Like we work with all of them, OpenAI. We did annotation for them, annotating data to make it understand that this is what's supposed to be. This is there is no place we are doing any African thing. There's no African team doing anything. We have for physics, we have for maths, we have for English, we have for French, we have for German. We could have maybe for Yoruba, maybe a few Yoruba, but there is nothing really doing things that are expressive in that line. But their culture is well pronounced. If you ask anything about the American culture, right, you will see knowledge about it. But when you start asking deep roots of African culture, maybe a place in Ondo State, maybe a place in Ekiti, maybe a place in Ogun, you will not find those deep knowledge. But the deep knowledge is in one Baba there, and the children of the Baba refuse to listen to.
I just want to add that I think also the foundation of everything that we are saying is that our culture has to be in our curriculum. We can't stress that enough, to be honest, because the reason why English is English today is because they put it in our face. The reason why you think that English is posh is there was a friend of mine that asked me one time.
It's a vulgar language.
There's a friend of mine that asked me one time and said, wait, why do they put fine people in our face in Hollywood? Why are there no ugly people in Hollywood? Why?
That's what we want to see, that's right.
And you know that's just the reality of it, that someone will say, if you were, if they steal something, are you the good? That's where it started from. We saw Van Damme. Van Damme is fine, hefty, big, you know. And then when he does his leg, like, they put it in our face. That's not life. That's not how it should actually be. When you see Shango, I don't know, I've not seen him before, but he must be a very black man because he removed fire from his mouth. You know, so that's it. So it has to be in our curriculum. We have to see it that these things, they are normal. When someone says religion is the problem in this part of the world, it's a lie. It is who we are. religion is part of the identity of a black man. It's who we are. It's just like how we say, the reason why Shango could lead the battle was because there was something different about Shango that everybody wanted to follow. And that thing different was not words that Shango said. There were things that Shango did. And they say, this is who will follow. He has power. Do you think there were no other Shango that time? There were no other strong. There were other strong men. But the reason why they said they should follow him is because they could see something that they did not have, and it was fine for them to follow him. So that's to tell us that the African man, part of our culture, is something beyond us that we have to believe in. So these things have to be inside the curriculum that we teach the younger generation. Okay, this is it, or this is Christianity, this is Muslim, this is whatever it is, right? But this is what you should follow. It has to be inside the curriculum so that when, it's just like, sometimes I ask myself and say, what makes me a Nigerian? My what? My skin.
Just your skin.
Okay? We should actually ask ourselves that question. If you ask a Chinese man, what makes him a Chinese man? When you hear him talk, you know that he's a Chinko man. You see somebody just, so I don't want to go to, a lot of cultural things, but I just wanted to say the reason why we think English is posh is because they put it in our face. So we need to put our culture more in our faces so that we see it as normal. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hope we all enjoyed this. Okay.
I think the way we put it in our faces matters too. Because they did put, our traditions were actually put in our face, but in a negative way. Like you say Shango, and then somebody, maybe there's a parent and he'll freak out, like, why you call it, So the way they put it matters. If they put it in our faces with pride, like when you're trying to sway away from your culture, they bring you back and say, this is who you are. It plays a very good role. So they could actually put it in your face in a very, very negative way. Yeah, and I'd say one way to do this, one way to help with the process is stories. 90% of the things I know about my culture now were told to me in form of stories. The whole Tales by Moonlight and all of that. But if they had kept me...
Do we have the time now?
We don't, but we could. I mean, like, we own...
Television has taken over.
You could do it on television. You could go on YouTube and play Tales by Moonlight, your cultural tale, but, like, one thing is, I don't think there's any direction to anything. You sway your way. The algorithm, if any of us opens our phone, what we see is going to be different because of what we feed it. It's what it gives us. So if you want to train something or someone in a particular way, you train the algorithm to give it that info. Your child has a phone. Feed the algorithm your cultural, Yeah, so how you put it out there matters a lot too. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes. Does anybody have a question? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Okay.
sir.
My name is Arnold Ajiloro. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
So I write, and we have our daddy here who also writes. And I'm so excited. Please, let's give him a round of applause first. This is an amazing set of young people who are talking something very deep that I probably wouldn't have thought they'd be able to speak to. And they've done it so well. I'm just amazed, His book, the reprint of his book, which contains part of what you guys are discussing here now, will be out in a few days. Yeah. And the trick to it all is, which I'm sure, because if you didn't read enough, you won't be able to speak this deeply with so much knowledge about these things that are way beyond ordinarily your age limit. So I did this book, 2022, Libations for Africa. And it speaks to some of these things you are talking about now, about how our religion or how our affiliation to these foreign religions have seemed to erase some of our traditional things from us. We see them as fetish because that is how these foreign religions have made us. The English that we speak now, in ages past, even the Englishmen themselves didn't want to speak the English. It was French. If you're not speaking French and you're in England, you're a barbarian. But when the French defeated them, they said, hold a minute, why should we now be beholden to these people after what they've done to us? That was when they came back. Samuel Johnson wrote the Dictionary of the English and restored pride to the English language. So how much of that can we do for Yoruba, for Igbo, for Maisoko, for Edo, for Igala? You know, but we can begin to do it, and you are in a vintage position to start it. I mean, what you do with comics, comics, animation, for instance, is amazing, all right? I don't know what you do, but you also, for your what you do in your job specification, it's actually a great place to start. Yes, Nigerian culture is marginalized, all right? But you can force into the mainstream by what you do on your own. You know, harvest as much of this, I'm sure you're Yoruba, right? Of it that you know. What I do sometimes, I call elders at home, in my place. This thing, how does it, I understand to this point, but from here to there, how does it go? They will explain it to you over the phone, even if you don't have to travel that distance to your village to get this knowledge. So let's do this, you know, in our own spaces and amplify our own. Because, like I think you said, these guys, the Chinese, the Americans, the English, they come here to get these things. They will go over there, put them in all the media, books, film, cartoons, and they will bring them back. We'll now spend our dollars to buy this, which is originally ours, that we neglected. We can start now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we have questions online from Zoom. So can we have them?
Technology-driven world that is shaped by artificial intelligence, digital platforms, and immersive media. The reading now transforms into a highly personalized and interactive experience where we have algorithms tailoring stories to individuals based on their preferences or topics they have researched about. Or will it continue to endure as a shared cultural tradition that is rooted in collective narratives, communal practices, and the preservation of literary heritage? Thank you.
Is there still more people that want to speak online? Huh? Okay, please, can you repeat your statement? I don't know. Is there a question? Or is there a comment? It was a comment. Okay. But we did not get that. Can you please repeat what you said?
Okay. So it was actually a question. I was asking that, considering the fact that we are in a rapidly evolving and technology-driven world that is shaped by artificial intelligence, digital platforms, and immersive media, as we speak, we're reading now transform into a highly personalized and interactive experience, considering that people research on ChatGPT and all these AI tools based on things they want to know more about. Now, will such algorithms tailor similar stories to these individuals based on their preferences or topics they have researched about before? or will it continue to endure as a shared cultural tradition rooted in collective narratives, communal practices, and the preservation of literary heritage? That's my question.
Thank you so much for that question. So I think I get the summary. The summary is basically we have these models that we all have access to today, and the question is, will these models or this system, AI systems, be tailored enough for individuals, or will it continue to just be useful on the collective level? Is that the question? Did I get you correctly?
Okay, so you went off for a bit. Okay. I didn't pick that.
Okay, so I guess so. So in two ways. One is that there are different kinds of platforms. You don't have one. There is, you have, in fact, Grammarly, as of last week, I was reading that they rebranded to what they now call Superhuman. And they are doing multiple things than they used to do previously. But this is it. For every tool that you are using, there is a general level, and that is what you call the foundation model. That is what they are trained on, the collective knowledge. However, in your usability, there is always a niche experience for you. They ensure that there is context. So now, in fact, on ChatGPT, if you are having, I think as early this year or late last year, they introduced memory, such that it now has knowledge about some of the things that you often ask or some of the things that you do. So it knows your preference. It knows the company. So if, for instance, you're trying to send a pitch deck to investors and you've been asking me questions about your company, it knows about your company already. You don't need to start building that context again. It has a memory. So for the platform you are using, depending on the platform you are using, the experience, the tailored experience will always be there for you. However, on the general level, these companies, even though we all know them to be very popular today and they are big enough, they are still training models. As we speak, models are still being trained on the collective knowledge. Now, they are now, so this is now, it now depends on the kind of experience we are talking about. And this is where maybe new companies will come in. If you are talking about, if you want more tailored experience that you are not seeing in any of these platforms, you can partner with or collaborate with technical people to create this niche experience that you're really talking about. So we don't need to start waiting for these companies to create those experiences for us. We can start building companies from there. That's another opportunity pool for us. So I think that's my own idea about it. I don't know if Femi wants to.
Just to add to what you said, they are foundational models, yes, but the thing is, there is still a lot of training still going on these models. So it's not like, to be honest, for artificial intelligence, we are not there yet. Mm-hmm. There's still so much to be done, right? There's still AGI. You know, there's still a lot of things that can be done, right? So the idea of your preference as to what your research is on is something that is more or less like a feature built into the tool that you are using, right? For the collective knowledge, that's still ongoing, and we are not there yet. And just like what we said about we having data companies here, you know, that also contribute to these training processes as well. You know, it's important so that when the world gets to the point where, I mean, we might never get there, to be honest, but we'll keep building. We'll keep building. Right? It's going to keep evolving. It's going to keep evolving. So because in computing, they say have it at the back of your mind and know that nothing is impossible. While you are building that software, just know that nothing is impossible, right? So the idea is it's going to keep evolving. And we, in this ecosystem here in Africa, the only way we can be part of it is if we also have, you know, that data in-house that we can provide to the collective training of those models. So that's how we can be part of those conversations, you know, because the world is in fact, the world has become a global village, right? You sort of like have the world in your palm on Twitter. You know, you have one president responding on Twitter and saying we are coming here, the other one says we are not coming, don't come, it's not happening, all happening on Twitter, and you also have access to that. You know, I don't think 50, 40, 100 years before now, you would have to go and buy a newspaper. Maybe 20 years, that's too long. You have to go and buy a newspaper, and whatever you read there is what you have. But now you have it in your palm. So we are still evolving, and the only way we can be part of that global conversation is if we also have data, warehouse in-house here to contribute to the collaborative training of those models. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So you can ask your question.
All right, thank you. My name is Ramon. As regard a statement you made earlier on, that religion is not our problem in Africa, but we are. I think that's correct though, because everything still goes down to Ajayi Crowther when he was trying to translate English to Yoruba, where he tagged Eshu as the devil. Understand? Then he further said that our culture should be introduced into the curriculum. Do you think it will be that easy? Do you think it will be easy for people to accept that now the likes of Shango, Ogun, Oya, and the likes, they are not who the religion body has described them or has tagged them to be? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, I don't know how I dabbled into religion, but
Be careful.
I didn't want to dabble into it. But what I want to say is that, when it comes to religion, there is also the topic of fundamental human rights also there, right? Because there were certain things that were done at the time that were against human rights, and in a way, so it's two sides of it. It's just like if you look at AI, right? AI has its bad sides, has its good sides. Religion has its amazing sides that it has done to us as a people, and it has the bad sides, right? So I don't want us to really look at the bad side, right? There's the good side of things that religion has done. It has helped us preach better human rights. For example, there was a time when it was normal to kill twins. It was an abomination. You give birth to twins and they slaughter one and say, it's an abomination. There was a time when women could not sit here. Who is moderating this is a beautiful young lady, right? So, and one of the ways that helped was religion. That says, hey, we are all equal before God. Come on. There's no need to discriminate anybody, right? And some of those beliefs that some of these people that you mentioned brought was, if a king dies, bury how many virgins, whatever. Those were some things that were against human rights, that I don't want to say the white man, a couple of people came and said, no, this is not right. This is not how it should be. Everyone is equal. Everyone should be this, regardless of your belief. It's fine. You can worship your issue. You can worship your Shango. It's fine. But do not deny people of their fundamental human rights. You understand? So those were some of the things that religion brought. But however, just like what he said, as we put it in their face, put the right things in their face. I was on a conversation with a couple of people, and the person says, Nigeria can never be good. Nothing good can happen to Nigeria. Immediately I said, no. I am also saying these things are not right, but I'm not saying Nigeria cannot be better, right? And he said, okay, then how do you solve it? I said, you have kids, right? Give them the narrative that Nigeria is amazing. Nigeria is the best place to live. Do you understand? Stop. See, the reason why you and I believe, I know we have our issues and all of those, is because they put it in our faces that way. If they put the right narrative in you, if you look at a young American child that is born, he will tell you that he believes the American dream is real. He will tell you that. There was a video I saw on Twitter of a young boy putting his hands in his pockets, walking up to Donald Trump and shaking him. The reason why that boy has that boldness is because they've exposed him to the right information and tell him, you are American. You are equal to the 50-year-old, 100-year-old person. The right you have is the same right that the president has. But that's not the narrative here. Do you understand? So they've put the wrong narrative in our faces, and that's not correct. So what I'm saying is, as we put English, we put all of those things in our curriculum, we need to put the right curriculum so that the young people as well can see their culture as normal, and then they can choose.
No, we have to round up. The other section has to begin. So let's just take one or two more questions.
Okay. My question, I don't know if it's a question or suggestion, but whatever it is. So anytime I hear anything about literature, because I'm an art student of English precisely. So anytime I hear anything about literature or art, the thing that comes to my mind is how is it possible? You know, I borrowed a course in linguistics, my year one, and there was something they told us that in 2015, in the Middle Belt, there was a language in the Middle Belt that it was just only 2 speakers, and these 2 speakers were old. So there was no even way to translate or to do anything, because those 2 speakers, you can't meet them to translate those languages. So we're having dearth of languages, like in multiples. But we'll be hearing that Nigeria is blessed with languages. But what we hear and what we see is only the 3, quote and unquote, major languages, the Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. That's the most thing we see. Even if government want to do transcription today, if government want to do transcription or want to transcribe a language so that we can get the intonation, like you said, trust me, governments will not go to those smaller languages that are in there hidden, that how will I say it, that are close to dirt. You get, they will go to the languages that maybe, if they have done Yoruba, they have done Igbo, they have done Hausa, maybe governments can now go to, okay, let's go to Yoruba, the Sheki, you get, I don't, so in my own mindset, so how can we do that? And secondly, we talk about the curriculum, enacting languages into the curriculum. You know, I feel like why is not possible, because it's from the parents inside of you. But I'm still thinking in my head, because I think a lot. So, can't in our legislature houses, let me just say, in the lowest chamber of legislature houses where we have the local government, local government, can't even speak their language instead of English when they are doing legislative duties? Because they are from the same place. Why are we speaking English there? Why? All right. In the Yoruba, why are you speaking English? You are all Yoruba, so why? So I don't know. That's why.
Do you want to answer?
Okay.
She wants to answer.
Do you want to answer? Wait, hold on.
No, he wants to answer. She wants to answer.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. So, thank you. So I don't particularly subscribe to that, because when we look at the cons of something, we also have to look at the pros of the thing. Because when we talk about English, we know that English has become a lingua franca. It has made things easier because many of us here, I might be Yoruba, someone else is from another place. So it has made communication easier. So English is not particularly, like what she said, can't they speak their languages? I believe that is just, we don't look at it from that perspective. There's also another thing that I believe is wrong with the mentality that we have this victimization mentality as blacks. I don't know. I'm trying to be careful with my words, where we see everything as, okay, we are victims and we are this thing. These people religion was brought to us. I have many people that tell me that Christianity is not even your religion. Yes, but I believe it. I subscribe to what the Bible says, and it's true to a point. So even if it was not first as, but we can see that, okay, these things benefit us. These things are grounds for morality. These things are what keeps society in check. So I don't really. Okay.
I think I can compact it together. Just give me a sec. Let me answer before we go to the next question quickly. So I think maybe I started this culture discussion and delved into. I'm so sorry, because it's a very it becomes very sensitive as you proceed and becomes very intense. I'm a Christian. I'm a very solid Christian at that. And when you talk about topics like this, they are very sensitive. But I'll pick it from what she first said, where she's talking about, there were 2 people in a village, and only those 2 people, they were very old. And is there a way we can? So I would say this. We all have different passions. Let me start from there. And there are a lot of problems. I am not passionate about that problem, so I won't go and solve it. You are passionate about it. You should go and solve it. You should go and solve it. I'm not joking. You should. You should start thinking about, what year are you now? 3. How many years is your course? 4. Your final year project, you should start preparing your final year project to be in that line. Start talking to maybe your project supervisor, right? Start talking to your project supervisor that, this is what I think I have interest in. And you don't know, maybe you're going to create something very massive out of it. I have problems that I am solving across different industries. I can't leave, I like that problem, but I can't go and solve it. I'm not passionate enough to go and solve it. But I think it's piquing your interest because it's something you see that there's a gap here. Let me sort of solve this problem. The other thing here, you talked about in schools, can we have these local languages being spoken and being taught? I think, yes, I subscribe to it, to be honest. And I also even look at it like this. I will give you an example of myself. My dad, when I was born, my dad said, I was not going to learn English or Yoruba at home, that I will be taught in school. So they never spoke English or Yoruba to me. So they spoke to me at home with our local dialect. And that was what I was communicated with till I grew up. So in school was where I had to learn how to speak English. I had to learn how to speak Yoruba. In our house, everybody was speaking the language. If you want to learn English, you do that in school. They teach in school. Why should we speak it to you at home? But today, there are many people who their parents don't even speak Yoruba to them. They don't even know how to speak Yoruba at home. And they feel like it's cool. So because your child is going to British high school, or I don't want to mention any name of any high school, they don't teach them these things, right? Now, and you talked about, and when she comes in with the official language, what has made it easier. I think, from my own perspective, based on what she has said and what you have said, so I will put it like this. When we talk about local languages being spoken in these places, have you heard of China before? That is like a rhetorical question. Do they speak English? No, right? Have you heard of things going on in their country before? Do you think they spoke English when they were in their country? I'm going somewhere. Do you think they spoke English when they were in their country? They didn't. But somehow the news got to you, and you got the memo. If as far as China, you can get a news of a country that is not close to you and still understand that, this is what the exchange rate is, this is what the name of the president is, I think it is not far-fetched if you can have those localizations happen in National Assembly. Translation can happen. There's technology. In UN, people are speaking multiple languages. You see them with earpiece and they are hearing in real time. This is 2025. We could have talked about this maybe 30 years ago and say, when we speak our local languages, we will not understand. If you don't understand this thing, you wear something, you have translation. There are multiple channels. Are you see what I'm trying to tell you? So English has made things easier because that's the central thing. In fact, there are places that you go to that if they are not speaking what is going on, right? But things are way better. The hotel I stayed in recently, I stayed in a hotel recently, was owned by Chinese people. I saw that the hotel was owned by Chinese people. The people that were employed were not Chinese people. So they had this device, they will speak into it, then they pass it to the manager, and it will speak the exact thing to them. Then the man will speak, then they will translate to their own language. Are you getting me? So we've gone beyond that, and I think that we should just embrace. The more you think about how English has made it easier for you, the more you will know how to embrace the other languages. And one of the things I want to say is big apologies to people that are not even from Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, because many times we even just take these three and ignore, like you tell from Lesotho, right? We just ignore that there are other tribes, other people. There are many languages that we don't even hear of today anymore. There are many ethnic groups. So the more we say that English is making things easier, the more languages that are here are dying, are going extinct. English is making things easier, yes, but we should embrace others. That's what I think.
Thank you very much. We have Thank you, panelists. We are still going on the panel. We just want to release a few comments online. Can you please pick it up? So,
okay. On the question of preserving and teaching those local languages, this is asked by Shionrere Anikulapo. Shionrere Anikulapo.
Okay, all right. So let me take it. So we have a comment from Shionrere Anikulapo, and he said, on the question of preserving and teaching those local languages close to death is where AI comes in. It can be trained, know those languages and used to teach or make academic resources based on them. And he said the possibilities are endless. Transcriptions, translation, teachings, and making, learning to speech training, etc. So that is the comment from Shere Anikulapo. And Mr. Jerry Adesewu said, I guess that she's particularly mentioning the State of House of Assembly where the people have said tribe and language. That was the question raised by one of the panelists. So we can take it from here. Thank you very much. So because of our time, because we are still having a workshop, you are still having a workshop, right?
Is it a question?
No. I'm just saying because of time constraints.
Just one.
Just one more.
We'll take pictures and that's all. Thank you. I'm supposed to ask a question.
And also, we have comment from Instagram. Please let me just take that very quick. Comment from Instagram. We have so we'll start from you said, Karo Najemo. I think I pronounced that name very well. He said, please pardon me. I would rather drop a comment. For the issue of data generation, there are two resources we must emphasize when we have data that can be useful for the purpose of this conversation. And also say one, we have university and 1,000+ more researches and projects with data we can utilize to this effect. And also he added, he said, two, we have custodians of cultures, resident in our village, localities. We can visit research inquiry to get much data as we want on the subject of interest. Then lastly, he said, in all, like Apateba, a Malian sage and a scholar persisted. When an old man dies, it is like a library set ablaze. So we must tap into the cultural database to enrich our development of these AI models. Thank you. So because of the time constraint, we'll only take one more question, then we'll move on to the workshop.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I know I enjoyed this section a lot, so I just have a couple of questions. So I just have a question, and it might probably be answered, but mine is like superficial level of it. Now, you talk about presenting the Greek mythology, right? I'm coming from that angle. You talk about the Greek mythology and the way we get attracted to them because of the way it's being projected to us. So I'm not saying that now we taking the aspect of our indigenous mythology like the Shango, the Ogun, and the Amadioha and the likes. Now, if we try to present them, probably the figurines we have been having about them is kind of awkward. And once you place a figurine of this thing here, you see everybody believes it's diabolic. I remember last year, Professor Wale Shoyinka was commenting on it. It's like he loves having those figurines around him because it's a source of inspiration for him. So I'm not saying that now for this age and time, if probably we pick up this Shango figurine and we manipulate it to something alluring, doesn't mean we are losing the authenticity, the originality of it. Like we incorporating animation and this and sort of things together, like the Indian did for Krishna. I don't know if you are familiar with it. Indian did for Krishna. Now, if we do that for Shango and Ogun, Obatala and the likes, is it that we are reducing the authenticity to manipulate it to this world, or is it something that we can just go ahead doing and just bring modernization to?
Okay, so I'm going to give an example. Chief Kayode here reached out to me to create a book cover for his book. And then on the book, he wanted an image of Shango on it, right? I had no clue, because I am as Igala as they come, yeah? I am as Igala as they come, so I had no clue who Shango was, but I went on the internet and it was even more confusing, because on the internet, you see him holding an ask. On another side, he's holding a sword. Like, there were conflicting images, but then how did I tackle that? By going back to the people who know these things. Like, we had over 10 revisions on that particular project. It's like, I'll see this on the internet, I'll illustrate it, and I'll send it. He will say, no, give him a put fire. And then there was a time I put thunder, and then he was like, no, it's supposed to be fire. You know, like, fact-checking these things help a lot, right? So, having it in a way that is more pleasing to the eye, animation is one way to do it. No matter how gory a scene is, an animated scene is, it always looks like a cartoon. Like, even if they're splitting people's heads, which is not, I'm not supposed to say this out here, but it's just so the method of representation matters, but always giving sources to where you did your research also matters. So when people see these figures, maybe it's supposed to be lightning, right? But then instead of blue lightning, I have it red to look more like fire. When I put the source of my research, someone could go and see that, okay, it's actually supposed to be this. So it's important for we, the creators, to identify that, okay, this was manipulated a little bit, because that dilutes culture, right? It dilutes culture a lot. Because if I had represented his book with the lightning I put instead of fire, someone would see it, someone who's very curious, a child who likes comic books, or like, would see this and say, oh, Shango, and then it sticks in his memory. And then there could be a debate later in the future when he's 20 years that I saw this when I was 5 that he had lightning, this one would say is fire. So it's important to have the actual figure here. And then I wanted to lay, there was something you said about the goriness of, I know I'm not supposed to like talk about religion and all of that, but we're linking this back to the mythology. You said Thor. Like when there's a movie, when a movie comes out, like we all rush to want to watch. But do you know that the story of Thor, Vikings, there's a lot of goriness linked to it. Yeah. So the important thing is how you represent these things. It's not just about like the thing itself, it's how you represent it. Over here, they tell us that all of these things are fetish, they're evil, they're this, they're that, they're this, they're that, which I agree to some of it. But then reason and representation. When you're teaching a child, you could tell him this happened in the past and it's evolved. Like we've grown past that level now. We've grown as humans. We've grown consciousness, right? But it doesn't take away the fact that it did happen. So the representation matters a lot. That's what I feel like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. 1 minute. So you answered about the originality. If we had aesthetics to these things and make it look cool, how many of us have heard of Iyanu on Cartoon Network? Okay, I have a friend that is working with that team that before they released Iyanu, and you know, they are talking about kids with superpowers and all of that. Now, my point here is, when you talk about originality and you're talking about culture, you need documentation. Because even when you talk about some of the stories that you heard about how Yoruba, how the head came to be in Yoruba land, there's the one of the chicken scattering sand. There's the one that the door came with chain from the sky. So now, which one is the true one? How do we know the true one? So that shows you that you can't even solve the problem of originality, but can we solve the knowledge that we already have that are scattered everywhere? Can we start bringing them into an archive? So we know that there are versions. We agree that our culture has the versions. Let us keep the versions of the culture. Let us keep the versions of the stories. Let us keep the versions of everything that we have. So if I am doing any illustration, any cartoon, any animation, right, we know that there is a source that all of us are drawing from, and that source is properly documented.
Just to add, sorry. What you said is the reason why originality is important. Because there are different ways to express the same thing. But we all know that thing. So if we don't know that thing, then there's a problem. So I can easily sell anything to you and you believe. So it still goes back to documentation. We need to document what we have as a people, right? So that when somebody just, for example, he said he was stuck, he was looking for Shango. If he didn't have the advice from somebody to tell him, no, this is not how it should be, he could draw anything he likes, and somebody somewhere will pick it up, and it keeps spreading like that. There are a group of people that will now have that narrative, and it's wrong. So originality is still important, but how we express it might be different.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We have your full comment online, we don't mind. We have one from Daniel Anazi. He said, it's our collective responsibility to preserve our culture and traditions. And we also have from Mr. Jerry Adesewu. He said, language is an important aspect of our identity. If we have failed to do the needful until now, we must begin to do it now. China now sponsors 100% of their citizens to go around the country in Africa to learn and study our languages. Why think that we don't need them? They are in Abu, OAU, UR, UNN as we speak, learning Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So we must continue to promise our language as a major aspect of our identity. Speak it and let them look for the interpretation the same way we look for interpretation for Mandarin, German, and Hindi. And Mr. Daniel Anaze says, Yoruba says, Ileni Atinkesho. Okay? Atinkesho Lode. It's also captured in Igbo. It's also captured in Igbo, Junuka, and it's from the same home and dad's reading goes to the video school. So thank you, our beautiful panelists, for that wonderful session.
Thank you so much.
Please, a round of applause for him. That is a brilliant session. Even for my interpretation of saying Lede Adeniyi, you can say I'm a part of the victim already. All right, quickly, let's take a group picture. What we call on the chairman of CORA, Chief Kara Duwobu, to join this session. A round of applause for them, please. All right, please don't go anywhere. This is just the part one of this AI session. We'll be moving on to the workshop. We went to the workshop. We have our mentor in the house already, right? We have our mentor in the house already. So we have a mentor in the house already. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. Thank you. So we move on to, please sit tight. Like I said, this is just the part one. The part two of this AI commences immediately now. It's commencing right now. Right now. So permit me to bring onto this table Mr. Michael, who is going to be mentoring us on the aspects of AI.
I hope it's renewed now. The one that politicians are saying. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Please sit tight. Okay, bringing on this table, please, let's sit down for the workshop right now. This session, we're going to be learning the practical aspect. One house. This workshop, we're going to be learning the practical aspect of AI. Please sit. Just one person. Please sit. Let's sit down, please. The workshop starts right now. Let's sit down. The workshop starts right now. Bring on this stage, we're bringing out Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael Orokola, right? I got that. So, wow, I'm not a person anymore. Mr. Michael Orokola, who is the founder and the CEO of StoreBounty.com and TalkingData.ai. So Mr. Michael is a world-class, hello, one house. Hello, it is time for the workshop. This is the practical time we need to learn more about the useful and the tool of AI. Join me as I bring onto this table Mr. Michael Orokola. He's a world-class software engineer, startup founder, and an AI product innovator with over a decade of experience building and leading experience. Please, a round of applause for him, please. Look at these qualifications. Look at these wonderful, fantastic qualifications. Leading engineering teams across Africa and Silicon Valley. He is also the founder and the CEO of StopBounty.com, a modern AI-powered retail and point-of-sale platform, and a TalkingData.ai, an AI-driven analysis platform that enables business to inquiry, visualize, and understand their data without code. Join me as I bring to this table Mr. Michael Orokola. A round of applause for him, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. My name is Michael, and forget about the titles. I don't know if I want to sit or stand. I don't know which one. I expected, okay, I should say it. Okay, cool. If we have the slides, we can have.
Hello, tech, please. We need to get the slide. Can you please move to the front seat, please?
Please, let's come forward.
Please go to the front seat, please.
This is going to be practical.
This is going to be a practical AI session. Please, let's come to the front seat, please, so that we can have one-on-one interaction with our mentor on the system, the importance of AI. We have different talks. We have listened to different panelists, taking us to different platforms. Understanding of AI, how it has endangered, and at the same time, how it has support our creative mind. This is the session we need to learn how to put this understanding into application. And the best way we can do is to listen to the best author and the best mentor, which is Mr. Michael Orokola. Thank you. Tech, please.
Thank you. So I came with my laptop with the intent that I was going to do practical work. Unfortunately, I forgot the HDMI cable in the house. So we'll make do with a slide that I prepared. This is going to be practical, like I said. And I don't see myself as here to mentor you. I see myself as charging a revolution. By the time I go into it, you will see it. Something really, really big is happening in the world, and we're not paying attention. We're looking at it as if it's just one of those things that happen, one of those noises that people make. But it's different from that. By the time we're done here today, I hope I will have got a couple of converts that will also go about preaching the same message. Because this is the best time in history for Africa, for all of us in Africa. So let's go into it. Please.
To do that right now. Please, a minute. Thank you.
If you're projecting it, just please go ahead. By a show of hand, how many of us use artificial intelligence? Use ChatGPT? Good, we all do. Do we use Grok? Just Chat, you use Grok. We use Claude AI. So mostly we use ChatGPT. Which one do you use? DeepSeek and Gemini, okay. So, can someone give me the way you use it? I think you're the first person to raise your hand. How do you use it? You just, yes. So you type into it what you want, and that's it.
When I'm making my own research, what I do is, based on the topic I'm trying to research on, I give it context. I tell it what it should do. I highlight the bullet points I want. Then I can tell him to humanize it so it can be as realistic as possible. Amazing, amazing.
Who else uses it differently from the way she does? Or who doesn't use it as much as the way she does? How do you use your own? Anybody? Similar to what she said.
Yes, I used to be specific. I would say make it compelling, make it captivating, and humanly written.
Absolutely. We all seem to be super users of ChatGPT. How do you use it?
So I also use it for recruitment purpose.
Okay.
And also for CV updates. So if I have my CV, I attach it on it, and I give it a command. So my command, I need a specification. And if
give me an example.
Okay. For the past experience, my achievements, okay, let's say I've worked as a payroll clerk.
Okay.
What are my achievements? So I want you to write in past tense. So for how many staff I've executed, I want it to be there so that I can actually test on ATS tracking.
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Amazing. Nice one. I think by what I'm saying, we seem to be power users. We get it to a degree. What we'll be learning today is how to turn AI from toy tools to real tool that solves real problems in the way we want it to solve problems, in the way the super users use it. Because when you use ChatGPT, what you are doing is you are talking to the AI the way some people thought you would use it. The way they thought you would use it, so they have some command they've already written for you, like your prompts, but you can hijack that so that you make it do the task you want in the way you want it to work, not the way they expected you to do it. Sorry, let me use because I can barely see on this phone. Now, this is now my calling. I will take us through a bit of history so that we will understand why this time in history is so important. There have been many revolutions all of history. There was the printing press, there was the big industrial revolution, there was the internet. Before that, there was the electricity and the telecom, the PC, the internet, then the mobile, the cloud computing. I want you to know one fact. None of these revolutions that African participated, at least not in the beginning, we were either slaves, colonized. Even after independence, they were still controlling our economy. They made sure we were raw materials hub. We never had a chance to participate in any of this. If you doubt me, I want you to tell me today how many families you know who had factories producing something in 1930, passed on to their fourth generation now that are still running. There's none. If you go to Europe, you see breweries, you see factories making soap, biscuits that have been running for centuries. Because the Industrial Revolution met them and they were active, their countries were developed and they used it, so they passed on that wealth. But at that same time, we were slaves, or we were colonized, we were being used, or aftermath of that, there was the brain drain, where we ship our people over there to work. I'm not apologetic to say, oh, we didn't miss it. They took the opportunity away from us. We didn't miss it. And there was tribal war caused by the colonizers as well that made sure we never participated in any of this. Today, we are witnessing something completely different, which is AI. For the first time in our history, we are not handicapped. A revolution as big as the Industrial Revolution, as big as the electricity is happening now, and we are not handicapped. They are not controlling our access to it. We didn't see it coming. They are not injuring us in any way. We are at the forefront of it, which means for the first time we can rewrite history, change where economies happen to Africa. We've never had that opportunity before. That is what I am preaching to the world. I want us to get. It's not just AI I'm typing to get tech. This is revolutionary. By the time I'm done, I'm sure all of us will be equipped to go and create something. Now, in terms of what do I mean by we are not handicapped? For the Industrial Revolution, we needed to have a lot of money to build industries. And when they discovered steam, we could not even have access to the steam engines, because even to today, even not for China, America still controlled a lot of the GPUs for training machine learning models that go to the world. They won't sell it to anybody in the world. They control it to themselves. China produces cheaper ones and smaller ones that the rest of the world can now use. If not for China, it means we will have still been hindered on that. But they are still very expensive. The good thing is that we can rent a little and pay little for it. So I'm trying to make you realize how revolutionary this is and how we've been hindered. But today, now, which means that what do I need to use an AI model? All I need to do is to rent a space to be able to have my own model to do the same work that somebody in Silicon Valley will also have access to. The same thing. I'm not held back in any way. What about talent? They made a mistake. The economy grew so much, they extended the ability for us to learn to Africa, so which means we were prepared. We were working for their countries, companies, making them money. But by the time AI came, we already learned a lot of things from them, which means we can now make use of our talents here in Africa. We were working remotely. Some of us traveled there. You now see that, okay, I'm working with this guy. He's not smarter than me. Or I'm even leading his team. Now, it dawns on us that we can come back home and, innovate for our own country and even compete with them. Now, I want to tell you a bit about me so you see where my passion is coming from. I've been an engineer for a while, for over a decade. I've been working with different companies. And one time I just felt I wanted to try something very challenging. So I launched a startup called StoreBounty.com, which was to build tools for businesses in retail, inventory tools and stuff. In the midst of it, about a year plus ago, in the midst of it, I saw AI became something big when ChatGPT launched, and I tested it. And 5 years before that, I've been playing around with the toy ones that were available at the time. When I tested what the LLM was capable of doing, I was blown away. And I abandoned what I was working on before because I knew immediately this is a big deal. To start another company which is into data analysis, using AI as the modern operating system. I will tell you what I'm trying to do. The only competition that I have, none of them is in Africa when it comes to data analysis. Every tool in data analysis in Africa today are foreign because they were expensive to build. You needed to have a room full of engineers. You needed to have people that have been doing engineering for years to be able to build those tools. But with AI beside me and a few engineers in Nigeria, we can do exactly the same thing what they can do in Silicon Valley. That is the power we have. The power is not that, they don't have advantages. They still do. But you and I in Lagos now, the same talent that made America what it is, you don't need to have that talent. AI cannot provide for you the missing link in what you need. I need to build a piece of software. All I need to do is write my prompt in a way that it gives me that software. That is what a smarter engineer than me will have known, maybe learned in Harvard or MIT. But now with AI beside me, I have an MIT, and I have a Harvard graduate, I have a professor beside me, which means that with the cost parity of living in Lagos and the cost of living in California for somebody, for an engineer there, and we are building the same product, we are going to sell it to the same market. It means I am at an advantage. Because if I'm selling my product at $50 per month, they need to sell at $750 per month to live in Silicon Valley. And that is where I'm trying to say that what we need to do, learn is to challenge the global economy. We're not just learning to solve our problems, write a little things. We have to learn this to now look at products that we bring into the country and say, there's no way MTN should pay $1 million for, let me use one clear example. Do you know banks, Nigerian banks, pay millions of dollars to have core banking applications? Millions every year. Now with AI beside us, we can have 10 engineers in Lagos that will build the same thing within a year. That is where I want us to lean into. To look at not just software, all the products that we see around us that we are importing. We didn't have the power to compete with these guys before, but now we do. Because everything you need to learn now, here you can learn it. And with China ready to produce for you anything you want, and the cost is cheaper here. So that is where our magic is, that is where we need to be. Now, so let's move to the core of today's conversation. How do we use AI to So how do we use AI to serve us beyond just toy tools or something we use to optimize what we do every day, to use it to do real work? Let me first of all talk about the way AI works internally in terms of its brain. The LLM, or what we call foundational model, ChatGPT and the likes of them, use something we call weight concept. So when you type something into it, each word in it, it weighs it. It weighs the value of that word, and it assigns the value to it. Then it goes into a database of words to go and look for where those words are and the weight they have. So for example, let's say I want to find something about President Tinubu, and I say, tell me a story about President Tinubu. What I've just told you is going to weigh story, it's going to weigh Tinubu, and it's going to search for every word Tinubu, and because I said president, which one is president? Now, what I've just told the guy is to look for the broadest data that he has possible, because I didn't constrain it. I said, look for, tell me a story about President Tinubu. So it's going to throw a very wide net. But if I say, tell me a story about President Tinubu and his time in office, he's going to narrow it down from his brain. He's going to weight. That office now carries weight. The more words I put into it, the more those words carry weight, the less the rest of the word carry weight. When I put few words, the few words carry all the weight, and it's going to go wide. When I put more words, every word now carry weight, and it's going to use them in search. So let's say I even narrow it down, I say, tell me about the first time of President Tinubu, first year of President Tinubu in office. Now year comes into it, now first comes into it, so he's weighing all of them to narrow down what he's going to do. So the more word you put into it, the more the weight, the more it narrows down what it to do for you. So the brain of the AI uses something called weight. And if you don't remember anything, remember that the more words you put into it, the more you narrow its search, the more likely it's going to give you useful data. So the question is, how do you control what you now get from LLM? How do the super users use LLM? One thing I didn't hear from anybody when you talked about the way you use AI is, do you give it a role? Does anybody give so what role do you give your AI?
Depending on the role I'm working on.
Okay, tell me the way you phrase it.
Okay, for example, I work for my church's publicity department. Okay. So before I start my context, you are the writer for name of my church.
Amazing, amazing. That's what I want to hear. Yes. You are the writer for
the name of the church. Okay. And you are the church needs an article to send to press and sponsors, appealing to different audiences.
Cool. I like that. Pause there. How do you give it a role?
First of all, I have a personal relationship with my own ChatGPT. Okay. I gave it a name. I gave it Ray. Right. So I'm Constant Ray. So when I gave it its name, I introduced myself as IJ Classic. So if I say I Ray, it just calls me IJ Classic. What are we working on today? Right. So I'll say today you are working as a human resource manager. Okay. So everything I ask, it tailors it to that profession. To that role. Yes. So that's how I work.
Amazing. Amazing. Anybody does something different? So you give context. I've heard people give you context, people give you role. Then do you give it personality? Do you give it tone? Do you have constraint for it? Don't do this. You tend to write constraints every now and then. Okay. I think he wants to say something.
Yes, I did too. So this is it. Before I can give it a command, I will compose it myself. I want to test my own human knowledge for this particular thing. So send it to ChatGPT. And okay, can you revise this? And sometimes it's not always correct.
Revise as what?
Correct in some tenses.
No, when you say I'm saying, can you revise this as what?
Okay,
as
to use some vocabulary that will be suitable.
Okay, now I'm coming back to you. Okay. So let me continue. I'll come back to you. Because when you say revise it,
yeah,
you just say revise it as what? As who? Under what context?
Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Okay.
That is where weight concept comes in. When you say revise it, the only word it has to work with is revise. Revise as who? Revise as what? Revise on what? What are the constraints you shouldn't check? So you say revise, it has just one word to work with. So we'll come back to that and how to do it better.
Okay.
So there is a concept I want you to write down. It's called Chris. Are we displaying No, this is not Twitter. Where's Sandra? There's a concept I want you to write down called CRISP. C-R-I-P-E. What am I saying? C-R-I-S-P-E. CRISP. C-R-I-S-P-E. This is a framework that we'll be talking about today. There are many different frameworks that people use in talking to their AI, but this is a very pretty standard framework. What the C stands for is context. Context means who, where, what use case, what's going on, what are you trying to achieve, what was on your mind, what problem deeply do you want to solve, what is bothering you. It's not the question you are asking, it's the context. Just I say, oh, do you know the way to Oshodi? It's a straightforward answer, right? But I say, I have no money in my pocket. Do you know the way to Oshodi? I give you context. It has nothing to do with the question, but I give you context and say, okay, if you have no money, there is a man that goes to Oshodi. So now you're giving me a better answer. That is context. How stands for role. Who is ChatGPT supposed to be at that time? What is the role? Oh, you are an architect. You are the, what was the role you say you used to give? Writer for our church. What is missing in your role is writer for the church. The word church carries weight, so you understand that it's a religious context, but you can make that role better in terms of how do you broaden how many years experience does your writer have? So if you imagine if you give me like, oh, you are the writer for church, and you have experience writing articles for churches all over the world for the last 10 years. What have you done? You've added so much words into that, now you're looking for, it's not just going to pick what an average writer will write, it's looking for what the best writer with that experience will write. So what inputs are you giving to it, which is our high in the CRISP concept? To say, okay, I've tried this. Part of what could be your input is, it's very similar to context. I'm trying to get to Oshodi, and I need direction. So instead of me saying, give me direction to Oshodi, I said, I don't have any money, and I need direction before I say the direction. But whatever I input, I say something like, my leg is also paining me. Then I need to come back today. So the more context you give under that input, the more you understand what you're trying to do. For example, we use inputs so well in one of my companies, TalkingData, because what TalkingData does is, let's say you have an Excel file that's like 1 gig. You've been storing all your data, all your company data there, transactions data in that 1 gig of Excel. If you want to get information out of that, what you will currently do is you need to have somebody who knows how to write a macro. You write macro for the Excel, then they'll give you some figures and stuff. You will still get the best of results. So what you can do on our platform is to upload that Excel file to the platform, to a stream. Then the moment you're done uploading and it's done processing this file for you, you write something like, can you check transactions that we saw last year compared to the one we saw this year, which one is higher? Or can you say, can you give me our performance over the last 5 years? Which means it checks that file, it checks for the record of sales, it checks for the dates, then it computes for the one for this year, last year, last year, then it gives you an analysis about it. Now that is an input that we are giving to the AI. On the same time, we also have context, where we write context of what is going on. We also have role, where we give it personality. And the users can also even personalize and say, it work as a friendly, we'll get to role, to that parameters. So under parameters, which is our P in the CRISP concept, is, I skipped that, sorry. Let's go back, steps. This is one of the things that people don't like to do when they are using ChatGPT. And I struggle with it every time too, when there's a part of it I want you to be broad. I don't want to, suggest anything. I want you to just blow me, tell me something I don't know. But in the real sense, you want to infuse your knowledge about that subject into it. Because if you don't do, what it's going to do is going to go so wide. And you don't know how wide it's going to give you the answer. If the answer may look good, so what you do under these steps is to guide the guy. Say, this is what you should do first. So in our data analysis example, what we do is we give you steps. The first thing is to check. If someone says, I need performance of our sales over the last 5 years, and there are tables in the database connected to the AI. The first step is to check, does this person have the right to ask this question? Because it makes no sense if he's going to check, do the performance, then he checks that the person has no rights, then he says, no, you don't have the right. So he checks, does this person have the right to check this table? Then he says, okay, this person has the right. Now, does this person have the right? No, does this person have the right to ask a question at all? Does this person have the right to ask this question about this table? Then he needs to look for that table, then check the privilege this person has, then you now start computing. And that is where steps comes in. Let's say I need recipe for food. I can say, please check this first, then check this first, then check this next, and check this next, so that you guide the way he approaches the problem. That is steps. And parameter is the tone. One of the things I love to do when I'm writing an article is, I will have written everything I need, then I will give it a tone. I want you to write in the tone of Seth Godin. Seth Godin is one of my favorite authors. I want you to write this article in the tone of any Oprah Winfrey or Peter Thiel, which means he has to look for every article about Peter Thiel and constrain what he's going to give me to follow the tone this guy writes. Now, this place is where it gets technical. For us who are using AI on a big scale, we cannot do without giving examples. Because we don't, so if you are going to put your AI in front of people to use, and they are going to ask the question you don't know. When I put an AI out, I don't know what it's going to tell you. So the only way I can control what it tells you to a degree, so that you are satisfied as a customer, is to give it examples. And say, look at this, look at this. So it follows the way I framed my examples. If I don't give examples, it can go and look for one useless piece of something that somebody did before and follows that, which will not work for my use case. So we always give examples, and we also give what we call the E. We're on the E now. E, you can call it examples or evaluations. E is examples or evaluation. We mix it the last word. Evaluation is to also state exactly how I'm going to judge what you're producing. So when I'm telling AI to do something for me, I'm going to also say, if you don't do this, do this. If this doesn't come with your response, this is going to fail. I'm also going to state clearly the condition for failure. Say, if you don't follow what I've said, if you don't follow these steps, because in our system, we also write what we call evaluations to check that this guy follows to some degree what we're asking him to do. So you also state that constraint to say, you must follow this evaluation or whatever you do is going to fail. And that is the last word, which is E. What we're trying to achieve with CRISP is to make sure it doesn't go wide. We don't want it to go wide. It will not serve us if it go wide. We'll constrain everything. And I mentioned earlier, stock the prompt with the words that matter. You are a chef of 10 years, with 10 years experience cooking meals. It's different from you are a chef with 10 years experience cooking, what do they call this meal? LD meals. There are two different words. If you say you are a chef with 10 years experience, what do they, cooking keto meals. It's different from LD meals, it's different from meals. So the more of those words you put in, the more you get the best result from it. So this is where we do a little exercise. I want us to pick a topic. What do we do? I want us to write a prompt. Pick out your phone. You're going to write a prompt that follows our CRISP concept. and I'm going to evaluate the best prompt. You now need to practice what we've just talked about. Okay, you're working. Okay, it's showing now. Okay, cool. So I want us to just put out your phone, put your notepad or something. Okay, no worries. So let's write prompts. Tell me what you want to write before you write it. What do you want to write about? What? Microbiology. Okay, good. I like that diversity. What do you want to write about? Okay, when anybody's done thinking, let me know what you're writing about. Make sure you follow the Krebs concept. Absolutely. What's it? You will do it. Language theory. Just hold on.
Language dirt, like dirt of language.
Language.
Dirt.
Oh yeah, do it. No worries. I do it. Let's see. We have 5 minutes to do it. How many minutes left? Who's checking the time for us? We have five minutes for that. I think I would say it means has gone. Yes, 1 minute has gone, 4 minutes now. Let me give you a shocker as you do that. On our system, our prompt has over 90,000 words. 90,000 words. So, what I'm telling you that is, prompts can be so long. You will not believe that. You see prompts that are 10 pages. So be generous with what you're writing. Just write to inform this guy what you want. Who's done? Anybody done? Are you done? What topic are you writing about?
On international relationship.
Use the mic.
I said the implication of insecurity in Nigeria on the international relationship.
Oh, cool. I like that topic. I want us to be as diverse as possible. Are you done? You're done? Yeah, sure. Okay, tell us. Let's hold on, so that other people will not copy you. Are we all done? 2 minutes. Okay. How do we judge the best prompt now? Yeah, we need to judge. This is just the best prompt.
1 minute more.
1 more minute. 1 more minute, 30 seconds. You're done. Okay, so let's you're done, Abi. Okay, let's start with him. Let's hear what you wrote.
Okay. I said you are working as a political analyst, and the question is, what is the implications of the insecurity in Nigeria on international relationship? Then the first implication is diplomatic reputation and global perception.
Okay.
Which is a negative image and reduced diplomatic.
Okay, you are reading the response now?
Yeah.
No, just the prompt.
Okay, just the prompt.
So what you wrote is
as a political analyst.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the implication of the insecurities in Nigeria on the international relationship?
Okay, cool. Please, let's stop typing. I want us to critique. Your time is up. Let's stop. Can someone tell me how you could make that prompt better?
I said, you are working as a political analyst. Then the question is, what is the implication of the insecurities in Nigeria on the international relationship?
Can someone volunteer to critique that prompt?
I say it again. You are working as a political analyst. What is the implications of the insecurities in Nigeria on the international relationship?
Okay, so what if he gives you, the answer he gave you is a political analyst but an intern?
Yeah, a political analyst.
But he gave you an answer for an intern?
Yeah.
Who just started work yesterday? How experienced is your analyst?
Well, I think
you didn't give you any experience?
No.
So that is missing in the personality. Then where has he worked before? Has your analyst worked with a CNN?
No.
Or a BBC?
No.
Are you getting what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
You gave it a broad personality.
Just something.
Yeah, so let's hear another person's prompt. So that's where you could have improved it. You could give it a personality. Say something like, you've worked before, you've written articles about Nigerian security before. You get what I mean? So you will go and search for someone or a large text of someone who has done that before and answer you. Yes.
Explanation. So does it like, if you ask that kind of question, does it like give a comprehensive explanation on using someone that has worked previously like that?
So you mean if you ask without narrowing it down?
Yes.
So what it does is, see, imagine you have the whole Lagos full of information and you want to give somebody an answer.
Okay.
And when they mention the word political analyst, when you go to where you store your political analyst information, it's as big as this whole complex.
Okay.
Now, you don't know which one to pick, so you pick randomly. Or you pick what you think is the best answer.
Okay.
But what if they tell you who has 10 years experience? What do? You narrow down your archive to only analysts done by someone who has 10 years experience. What if they say, oh, who has worked with BBC before? What happens again? You narrow it down. So the more you give to the guy, the more it narrows down, and the more likely you will get the best answer. So if you don't give you anything, it's going to give you, generic answers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that means you need to be specific on your question.
Not just question. This is not even a critic on question yet. This is a critic on the personality you give to the LLM.
Okay.
You know that's the personality issue we are dealing with. Yeah. So anybody with another? Okay, so let's hear him.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. My prompt was, as a microbiologist with 10 years experience working in the field of molecular genetics, provide a guide on how I can successfully isolate LAS degrading microbes from urban areas in Nigeria, and how I can determine the particular genes responsible for their degradative capacity.
I think he deserves a round of applause. Let's clap for him. I think that's a very well, personalized prompt right there. So let's critique it. Before we go, let's critique it. What's missing? Let's go back to the personality again. There's something you can do better in every prompt. So let's
come again
on the personality. Yeah.
A microbiologist working with 10 years experience, working in the field of molecular genetics.
Okay.
Provide a guide on how I can successfully isolate LAS degrading microbes.
Yeah, so I don't know much about molecular genetics. You know more about it. So one of the ways to improve that is to narrow down to the question you're about to ask. You can say that 10 years experience, you can say, is on the subject you're about to ask. You're about to ask about DNA separation or something like that. Let's say that's what you're about to ask. Then you can narrow down that year of experience and say, you have 10 years experience working in DNA analysis, instead of the generic molecular biology. That will give you better results. But I think you did well. But there's something missing in everybody, so let's say her own.
Sorry, don't forget, thank you, we still continue. Okay. This is both physical and virtual session, so we have messages online, so we're just going to take one or two, then we'll continue. So we have from Alima Abdulaziz. He said, as a professor, this question is directed to you. He said, as a professor of organization AI behavior, I need you to break down on the basic principle of knowledge, explaining to the world attitude, functions, and theories. Shall I take that again?
No, please do. I'm not a professor though.
As a professor of organization AI behavior.
Oh, that's a prompt. Is that a prompt?
I think that's not the prompt.
No, I think that should be the prompt.
That's a prompt. Okay, so another person. Okay, this person's prompt is the enduring.
Okay, so this is what we'll do. Please hold on. We will treat that prompt. We'll pick like 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, just hold on. So I want to hear our own prompts.
Okay, someone want to speak online. Mr. Jerry want to speak?
Just 1 minute. We'll come back to you.
Should we just, sorry, please, can we take one speaker online, please? So that we can
please go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Jerry.
To respond to the first prompt, talking about the need for the narrowing down, which the facilitator already, addressed, but the fact that the prompt, he needs to give more information and more personality to the prompt to be able to achieve whatever is his aim. I think he has addressed that, so I should have lowered my hand. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Jerry. Okay, so over to you. Please continue. Please go ahead.
As a renowned Nigerian journalist and author with over 50 publications, write an invitation letter to Professor Oluwasogo O, warmly inviting him to your forthcoming book launch, a novel that captures the reality of experiencing grief during the NSAS protests in Nigeria in the year 2020. Let the letter be warmly, formally captivating and compelling in 200-word count. Also, emphasize on the importance of his presence on the great day.
This is amazing. Because every prompt that we listened to, nobody gave context. Did you guys catch that? Nobody gave context. They gave personality, and you asked the question. Well, you didn't give context. Because context, like I said, let me tell you the way I write context. I write context the way I think, or the problem I'm trying to solve. So let's say I want to work on an interface. I will say something like, I'm working on a product that is into data analysis. And these are the things we've done, these are the things we've achieved, these are the similar pages we have, these are the things. It has nothing to do with the question I'm asking. But I want to frame the guy's mind about the context. I may want to tell about my location, where I am, the kind of customer that I'm dealing with, to give him more context. So when you don't give context, you're also leaving it to broad way to go and pick from. Exactly. So she gave context by saying, she also gave, not just concept, I think don't let me say she's winning now. She also gave constraints, which is parameter. You said, what was it? There was a part of it where you gave constraints. Yeah, 200 words, yes. Yeah, exactly, so she gave constraints. She also gave, there's something you also said. Exactly, she gave the tone to it. So let's have our crisp on the slide. It is very important to get the best out of LLMs to follow these concepts. Any other prompt before we go online? Any other person? Somebody here? Okay, okay, go ahead. Don't write prompt again, no. You are cheating, you are writing anything.
As a machine learning expert and data analyst working on financial fraud detection.
Come again, I didn't get that.
As a machine learning expert and data analyst working on financial fraud detection in Nigeria's bank sector, explain how machine learning algorithms, logistic regression, decision trees, random forests, support vector machines, and KNN, which is key nearest neighbors, can be applied to identify fraudulent transactions. Briefly outline the data processing steps, cleaning, feature selection, and balancing. Compare the model based on accuracy, precisions, recall, and F1 score, stating which performs best for the imbalanced data. Discuss real-world challenges like evolving fraud tactics and data privacy, and suggest practical recommendations for deploying a reliable fraud detection system. Write in a clear, technical, and professional tone, around 250 words or less.
You did so well, except one thing. You can go to your seat. You did so well except one thing, which is you didn't give context. So I'm looking at that prompt and I'm thinking, where is this fraud coming from? Is it a banking sector? Is it fintech? Is it during election? Where is the fraud coming from? You say election. Private sector. Banking sector, okay. Yeah, excellent. That makes it an excellent prompt. So let's go online before. Who's handling the online people? Let's read 2 or 3 from online. Who else? Let's do. Okay. Let's get his prompt. Okay, she wants to speak.
Okay. Okay, in Nigeria, we have over 500 languages, and some of these languages are going on extinction. You are a professor in linguistics for 20 years who worked in the recovery of languages close to extinction in the University of Lagos. I needed to write a detailed outline on the best way to curb this language death, using the minority language in Nigeria as a guide to how these languages gradually go on extinction, and also state the causes of this death. You must speak like when saying kind is novel, the lion and the jewel. You must use real life situations, articles, and data, or else it will be superficial.
I love that prompt. In that, in the beginning, you said the guy is a professor of language, but deals in languages that are going on extinction. That makes it so clear that he's not just an expert in language in general, but that particular problem you're trying to solve. So that is a very, very key part of it. Yeah, I think we've gotten the concept. If we have to write it all over again, okay, let's hear his own. Okay, so if we have to write all over again, I'm sure we're going to write something better than what we did earlier. Now, the question is, what you have written, the prompt you have written, you are giving it to LLM, and it's giving you a response. How are you so sure that is correct? There is something we call hallucination, which is for whatever reason, when the guy is going to the data room targeted to that thing, he meets, in the training, there was an intern engineer on duty that day that put a data in the wrong place. So you go to your library where you are supposed to see books about sciences, but now somebody puts a book about maybe engineering there or something like that, or something completely different, or history. And they did not discover that during training, which means when the guy gets into that room, he's trying to look for something and he hallucinated because he encountered that problem and he gives you something wrong. So how do we deal with that? And that's what we call the concept of evaluations. As a matter of fact, when you work with engineers that are working in AI, we spend so much time on evaluation more than anything, because I cannot predict what AI will tell you. All other parts of software engineering we've ever dealt with before AI, what you're going to get is what you're going to get. The engineer that programmed that thing knows what you're going to get. When it comes to AI, when you ask me a question, I don't know. So my AI is surprising me, surprising you, surprising everybody. So how do we make sure it doesn't go so, out of control? And that is what we call evaluation. What we say is, you should trust AI, but you should verify. You should always and always verify. I don't know if you saw a story about, is it KPMG in Australia? Did anybody see that story? There was a government agency that needed to work on a policy, and they gave KPMG to work on it. And whoever worked at KPMG to do that policy used AI to do it. And they found out. And it became a big deal on the internet, and they had to refund the government, I think, about $400,000 or something like that. But it's a reputation, they have to spend a lot of money on PR. With all their customers that they've been serving at that time, will question them and say, hey, can you review this for us? How much of this AI? Because when you make so I give you why it is so dangerous not to make a mistake with AI. If your AI makes a mistake, and you give me data that I'm not supposed to have as an organization, and I have that data in my custody, if somebody who owns that data finds out that I have that data, that means I've breached their privacy, or I've used their data, now I'm in trouble. But you gave it to me. So you need to verify. You trust what he's giving you, but you must verify. So how do you do that? That's what we do next. So let's move the slide to verification. In software engineering, programmatically, what we do is we write what we call evals, evaluations. Evaluations can be as many as 500 evaluations. So we simulate different scenarios of the same problem. We change one word, two words here, and we know the probability of what we are expecting. We don't know exactly what he's going to give us, because we cannot predict the guy, but we know the probability of what we're expecting, and we run the evaluations almost pretty much every week to know whether it's still functioning well or it's hallucinating or something needs to change. But when you are using it manually, you don't have that luxury of programmatically writing evaluations. So what you can do are a few things. One concept so let me jump a bit to the next slide, but let's stay here, but I will jump a bit to the next slide. One concept I want us to have is you need to have your prompt libraries. You need to have a place where you have all your prompts about what you do. Oh, I work in HR, and I need to review CVs every now and then. You don't want to wake up every day and be writing prompt, or you are this, you forget. So you can sit down one day and write your prompt, and now you have them in libraries for different use cases. You can even have your intro for different personalities that your AI regularly takes. So that when you want to write that prompt, you first of all pick it, you copy and paste, then you write the problem you want to solve on that. So you need your prompt libraries. Now, when your prompt libraries, why your prompt libraries are good is you can evaluate what the prompt library has done for you. So I have a prompt template for something, and I've used it 3 times, and I know what it's been giving me is correct. If you change one word, one single word from that prompt, it can crash. So the one you've tested and you've used over and over, that you've manually evaluated that, okay, I used this one and it works the way I want it, you probably should continue to use it. Don't change text, don't make plural singular, or else you crash that prompt. So that is the first step in evaluation. Check to the minute part of what the response gives you, what your prompt gives you, especially in the beginning when you're just starting to put together that prompt. Always check manually. When you are now satisfied, then you keep that prompt. That is a tested prompt. So one of the things I do sometimes is when an LLM is generated, I use almost all the LLMs available. I use Cloudy, I use Grok, I use ChatGPT-5, I paid premium, I use which other one? Gemini. When one generates for me, I copy that, I put it in the next one and use that guy to do evaluation. so that you can point out to me what this guy missed. Or sometimes if you don't use all the three, you can copy from one chat session, copy to the next, a blank chat session, and ask the guy, what did this person miss? You put the prompt that you use to generate that response. You say, I use this prompt to get this response below. And now I want you to evaluate this prompt against what this response is giving me and tell me what is missed. Sometimes he may tell you something that he missed, but you may not care. It may not matter to you. But you should always know you get the best result in evaluation when you use multiple different prompts. Copy from ChatGPT, go to Gemini, it will give you completely different things. So is that if you have it's a question to ask, either you ask multiple agents at the same time, then you look at what they give you, or you just want to generate the response, then you copy the prompt again to the next one, response, and you tell the guy, this is what this guy generated for me, can you evaluate it and tell me what you missed? That's how to sanitize your prompt. When you have a prompt that is working fine, again, keep it in your library. Now, in software engineering, there's something we call edge cases. Edge cases are brutal. Is there any software engineer in the house? Anybody? If you go for interviews and you meet experienced engineers, they don't ask you questions about what you do every day. What they ask you is about edge cases. So you say, oh, I write this particular code and it does this. Then they give you a very random out of context use case that you didn't think about. So edge cases is how you evaluate the best way your prompt is performing. So let me think about one example of an edge case. I remember one time I used to be an instructor at a school for Java engineering. So this guy wrote a piece of code and he was like, this code works so well, I like it, da 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 da. Then I said, let me test it. I did the regular testing, which is he had some input for numbers. So I put a text there. He rejected it. He said, yeah, I told you it works well. Then I put a double negative inside it. Then he didn't catch that, because he wasn't expecting somebody would put a double negative. Then I put a negative number, I put a negative number here. Then he crashed the system because he wasn't expecting that. So that's what we call edge cases. You know what, I'm trying to remember a prompt about Wole Soyinka. And so if you can, let me come up with one edge case. Again, I'll use ChatGPT to give me an edge case that I can use for this case. Because without edge case, you may not understand it the way I want you to. Okay, don't let me delay us on that. If I find one edge case, I'm going to talk about it. Now, to the last prompt that I jump into, which is supposed to talk about prompt libraries. You need a prompt library. You need a place where you store all your prompts. Depending on what you use it for, depending on your job, your role, define that prompt. Every day, if you use the prompt and you feel like, okay, if I had this word, it's going to be a better prompt, put that thing there, then you update your library to say, okay, this one is better than the last one I had. So that's how you maintain your prompt libraries. Or else, when you want to ask a question, you don't remember how to have all these things, personality, tone, you may not remember. So it's always good to have a prompt library. So and in your prompt library, so there was a lady that talked about how she gives ChatGPT's personality, name, and stuff. One of the things you can also do is, in your prompt, if you're writing for your boss, for example, you can also give your boss a personality. So this is how my boss likes his answer. So I don't remember that every time. So I can put in my prompt library about my boss. Or so that when I say this is for this particular person, he knows how to frame the answers for that person. So your prompt library can be about roles. You can have different roles that you use every day. Context for those roles, or context that you use randomly every time. Then you also have prompt libraries about people that you work with, people that you do business with, that you do something for, so that when you want to do something for that person, copy the prompt for that person and use it along. And of course, the prompts for the task that you want to do. So, I think most of this thing we've covered it in the events, also in your prompt libraries. So, because sometimes you remember in your mind, in your head, things that led to what you're about to ask. Especially when you work with people, I strongly advise that you build prompt libraries about the people you work with and the events that happen. So when you copy those things along, you can remember some of those things. One of the panelists mentioned that ChatGPT now has memory. It's so important that you don't rely on that memory. It is so important that you make sure you guide it as a matter of fact away from that memory, because it doesn't remember the context in most of the time, so it just going to go and bring memory randomly for you. So you may want to put those events down. When you are prompting, you copy all of them along. Don't be afraid. Your prompt can be this long. Trust me, just you drop it on the guy and let it do his work. So before we do, one of the things that we don't do in Africa, which has been holding us back, is we are not a people. We don't work together as a group. As a matter of fact, we probably remember growing up, they telling us not to do business with people, because all our movies saw, a partner killing the other person because they want to inherit their property or something like that. So we don't work together as a group. The next assignment, we're going to work together as a group of, how many letters make up the crisp? I think 6. 1, 2, 6. So we are going to work together as a group of 6, and each of us will craft what will be in the crisp. So we're going to pick a topic, and we're going to craft it together, and we submit it. Maybe there's a prize for the winner, I don't know, for the winning group. So before we get there, let me go back to what I mentioned in the beginning as my mission in life, maybe going forward, is that we are not lacking in anything when it comes to technology. We are not lacking in anything when it comes to work ethic. We are good. Maybe one important thing I just mentioned is teamwork. But even if we are not good in teamwork, this time in history is so, AI is not just a toy. AI is the superpower that they've been talking about. If you've been hearing it, a lot of people will lose their jobs, that's for sure. Because in my own organization, through our last year or so, we had people that we had constantly on contract that we use, that work with us, engineers, designers. And this year, at least 2 of them we've not called them. They work as contractors for us, but 2 of them we've not called them. Why? The time it's going to take me to explain what I want to this engineer is the same time it's going to take me to explain to ChatGPT, and it's doing it for me. And I pay 31,000 naira now for ChatGPT 5. And we used to pay one engineer, I think one of those engineers, 250K per month. So, and that engineer was doing one thing, we had 2. So now imagine 500,000 per month that we now paid. It was even 19,000 we were paying for ChatGPT before. We just changed it a month ago to 31,000. So we're paying 19,000 to replace 2 people that were taking 500,000. Trust me, it's not about even whether the work or ChatGPT can do the work. It's more the time it takes me to explain it, to be chasing this guy. Have you done the work? Can we do the review? Is the same time it's going to take me to explain to the guy. So a lot of people are going to not have the typical job available, but that is a very, very narrow way to look at this. The big way to look at this is your superpower. Maybe we don't need jobs, because with this guy beside me, I can challenge anybody. I wrote an article on LinkedIn the other day where I talked about this. Look at any product existing. You don't need to invent anything. Look at any product. So I give you an instance. Microsoft Word, right, is a product. TalkingData is a product. Tableau is doing the same thing. Power BI is doing the same thing. If you go and estimate what it took Tableau, the company that built Tableau, which is Salesforce, to build over the last 10 years, That is in millions of dollars. But we are competing with a Tableau, a Power BI, just because we have ChatGPT. We will never have been able to do it, never in this world, without AI. It's not possible. The amount of work, the amount of knowledge you need to have to be able to build a platform like this is it's crazy. So look at everything you see around you and pick it. And just look at, don't invent anything. Look at a company, because the company you're looking at already has hundreds of people working on that product. So the price they're charging has to be high. But now you alone, or you and your friend, you are working on the same product, and you say 6 months. Because everything you don't know, you can always ask this guy to tell you, to write the code or do the design. Now, I'm trying to sell my own for $500, and you say, no, your own is 20. You're not losing. You've been able to build it cheaper. So every company you see has to be done.
So there's a message from Zoom. She sent her prompt. So her name is Amarachi. Her name is Amarachi Chiemeka, and she says her prompt is draft an essay on the role of storytelling in a postmodernism world. Adopt the tone of a professional analyst. Keep the essay within 7 paragraphs and impute examples and graphs where necessary. That's what her prompt is.
What's the personality? What's the role? Is there a role? Did I miss it, or she didn't write it?
The role of a an essay on the role of storytelling.
Yeah, but so you didn't give a role to the LLM itself. So the role is missing, which is a very critical part of. As a matter of fact, by the report released by OpenAI, which is the company for ChatGPT, with the role, you improve the quality of what you get by up to 50%, between 20 to 50% in quality. So if your role is missing, you can imagine you are losing up to 50% of quality of what you get.
She said her role is professional analyst. She wants the ChatGPT to perform the role of a professional analyst.
Can someone tell how to make that role better? Professional analyst? Years of experience, yes. What else can we add to it? What kind of analysis? Which role, which company has it worked? One of the things I do when I'm almost never writing any prompt about engineering without saying you have a decade experience working in this role in Silicon Valley. I always put Silicon Valley because the quality of engineering you get in Silicon Valley is not the same. Because the amount of money companies raise in Silicon Valley, you have an idea you're raising $5 million. Before you know, ChatGPT raised about $6 billion or so. So they have money to hire the best engineers, which means they build the best product, they build better products. So when I want to tell this guy, assume the role of an experienced software engineer who has worked with startups in Silicon Valley. So because I want to narrow it down as much as possible to know what it's going to give me. So that's what's missing. Any other one? Okay. So with that, I think we've almost come to the end. Are we sharing the slide? There's a slide the last slide. I want you to share it. Can you show the last slide? Before we come back to the last one. Yeah. You just show the last one now. Yes, this one. So Temilolu mentioned having resources where people will go to, and this is the resource I have for you. This is how you're going to get good. What happened to? Did anybody catch it? This is your resource. This is the solution. Did anybody get it? You know where to find this guy? Every problem you have, every resource you're looking for, every more knowledge to gain, this is where you get it. You don't need any resource. I don't need to give you any link. This is all your resource that you need. If you have any problem, just write a crisp prompt. So now back to our challenge, our group. How do we form a group? We need a group of 6 to complete the. Just pair with your neighbors. Just pair with your neighbors. Okay, you have 6 here already. You have 7 there. Is everybody participating here? Group of 7, 6. We need one person to come out. Oh yeah, now let's do it quickly. I want us to work in a group. I think it will make my day work if I see that we're able to work in a group. Nothing good is built in isolation. The best things are built as a group. So let's work together as a group. Please let me coordinate the group here. So are you going to join them? Okay. So let me coordinate. Okay. So you're already automatically part of them. So you have a group of 6. So among yourself, elect. Don't write the prompt. I have not told you what you are going to write. Elect is going to write the crisp. Pick one of the letters what you are going to write. If there is no input, input can be an extension of context. So if somebody picks C, and somebody picks input, there's no input per se in most of this context. So if you don't know what to write deeper context on that input. Do you understand what I mean? Input most of the time is the data you have that you are feeding the. No, I'm going to give you a topic. I'm going to give you a topic to write on. So someone will write the C, someone will write the ISPE. Let's do this. We are going to pick the same topic so that we can evaluate on the same thing. You have picked your group, Abi? Okay, so we are good. So let's start with, let's do something about something that affects all of us. Let's write about the next election, how we can make it violence-free. Yes. Write your prompt. What we are writing is the prompt. Next election, we want it to be violence-free. Write a prompt to let ChatGPT tell us the steps to make it violence-free. So we want the election to be violence-free. We need a prompt to tell ChatGPT how to give us a guide. Do you understand what I'm saying? We need a guide on how to make it violence-free. So now we want AI to give us a guide, and it should be detailed. Yes, I mean step by step I'm giving you the answers. To give us something we need to, maybe something we can give to everybody in Nigeria and say these are steps for us to have a violence-free election. So everybody is picking one or elect. No, you are going to write. If you pick R, you are going to write your R individually. Okay. If you pick, so you need to elect who is going to write for each of the words. Do you understand what I'm saying? Crisp.
No, this is it. I think we are working with crisp, right?
Yes.
Now the question you just gave us now, as in, is she going to pick letter C, this one letter R, I, or we are working together as a team just to answer the question, or just individually under the guise of a group?
I think let's do it this way. I love the question. Let's do it this way. Write individually first, then come together with whatever you have written and then deliberate on it. I think it makes sense.
All right, okay, thank you.
So, but pick individuals that will write each of the words, which was why we chose 6 people. Oh yeah, go ahead. Write your prompts together. But everybody should pick one of, what letter are you picking? R. What letter are you picking? C. What letter are you picking? Please, we need to pick a letter. I want to see what you can come up with so that your colleague can help you improve it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Pick a word, pick a letter that you're working on so that your colleague can help you improve it. We have 15 minutes. Our timekeeper. We have 15 minutes. Yes.
Remember what I said. There is no limit to what you write.
The bigger your prompt, the more likely you are doing the right thing. The shorter your prompt, the more likely you are not doing the right thing. So be generous with what you are writing in your prompts. Election violence. We need a guide to give to all Nigerians to make sure we have a violence-free election. Violence-free. Now write the prompt. We don't know what the guide is, right?
A guide.
Yes.
To have a violence-free election for 2027 general election.
Yes, that's what we want. But we want you to write the prompt that AI will use to give us that guide.
All right, then, okay.
Wow, this is interesting. Thank you, Mr. Michael.
You're welcome.
I can see the workshop is already ongoing. I can see serious. Oh no, I can see serious-minded people. Okay. Because of our time constraint, we might not be able to have that 15 minutes, probably let's say 5 minutes. All right, so sorry about that. 6 minutes so that we can just get everything done. 6 minutes so that we can stretch our leg before we move on to this next program, which is started at 2. We don't want to just end, we have been here since about 10 a.m. now. This is almost 2 o'clock. So we have one session in the morning.
Also, make people online know what we're working on.
Okay, for those who are joining us online also, there are ongoing workshop right now. If you are joining us, please partake and participate. Like we said, knowledge is power, and Mr. Michael is there to put us through the intricacies of knowledge using AI. Not just as a tool to scam, but as a tool to also invigorate and learn. Because AI has come to stay permanently. It's not we like it or not, there's no debate. I think it was last year that we debated that we should shut down the AI. But even at the legal system right now, they are using AI. And the practitioner system, medical system, literary system, even researchers. So it has come to stay permanent, and the only way we can make use of this is to learn how to use this. Is to learn how to use it creatively, not just depending on AI to be our final say. So thank you. So in 4 minutes, Mr. Michael is going to end the workshop, then ask a little question so that we can stretch our leg, then move on to the next program. Thank you very much.
Two minutes more.
2 more minutes. That's why I said you should write individually.
1 minute to go.
We should be rounding up.
20 seconds.
We should round up. Are we good?
Time up.
Okay, time is up. Time up. Time up. Please let me give them mics. Let them. Are you done? Let them read out what they have quickly. Time is up now. Anybody can go. So, okay, let's give them 1 more minute. You have 1 more minute. Just 1 minute. We are solving a Nigerian problem. The Nigerian problem ain't tough like this.
Okay, sir. We have a prompt. From Zoom.
Okay.
And so the person says, as a security expert and advisor of the UN Global Peace for 10 years, share 5 significant tips that can best guide me as an electoral officer campaigning for a violence-free election at the 2027
He tried, but UN is a useless organization anyways. So if you pick UN to say, in terms of security, you are not going to get the best answer, because the security that UN will provide will never be what works. If you want to get the best answer for security, you say something like, you are an expert in the top security firm in the world. You can even Google to find that company first and say the best security firm in the world, or who provides security details for presidents, who provide this. Do you understand what I mean? So time's up. So do you understand what I'm saying? Using government agencies will not give you the best answers. They're usually bureaucracies. Okay, so let them start. I think they want to give them now. I saw people cringe when I said UN is something. Pardon me, you work for UN.
We are running out of time.
Okay, quickly.
We are running out of time, okay?
Quickly, just. Where now? If you are still, bring the mic, you are not done.
So, Mr. Michael, can we just take 1 group to discuss probably a workshop, then we wrap it up? Just 1 group, please.
Okay, all right, please go ahead. Let's do that, so that we don't frustrate you. Go ahead.
Okay, our prompt is, you are a retired soldier, you are a retired security specialist who was part of security operations in Borno State for 5 years. In previous elections, there have been violence. Give us measures how to have a violence-free election comes 2027 Nigerian election. We are in 2025. What role should the security personnel play this time, employing the use of technology like drones and others?
I like that you gave the context that in previous elections there were violence. One thing you could have done in the personality is to say he was part of the security personnel during the elections before. So you understand, you were part of security in Borno State, but could you have said in Borno State and you were part of the people who design guidelines for elections, so that he knows he has done elections before. You narrow down the skill set to not just broad security personnel, not just broad fighting violence, but it's also been part of election process before. So you did well. Let's clap for them. Let's clap for yourselves. We are ready. Okay, that's all, Abi. I'll go see one person. Oh, yeah, go on. So go quickly. Go quickly.
So it's kind of lengthy, so I don't know. Can I
go on? Give the personality. Give all the personality.
You are a communist strategist advertising the Nigerian Electoral Commission. Communication strategist advising the Nigerian Electoral Commission on peace messaging. You're also working with information gathered by reporters at the Nigeria Television Authority, who have conducted researches on curbing electoral violence, producing 3 articles, but these still lack full evidence on the root causes of such violence.
Okay, so the personality you gave it is a communication expert?
Communication strategist.
So, but you're solving a security problem?
Yes.
So how did you come about that?
So the beginning side, it's a guide. Yes. You are a communication strategist advising.
And that is interesting though. That is very interesting because he's writing a guide, but he has to write as an expert. So you could have combined the two. You could have combined and say, because you want your guide to be by an expert communicator. I don't know if you get it. That is an interesting perspective. But you could have said you are a security expert, also do you understand? So that you don't miss out on that part. You could have combined it. Thank you. Good one. Clap for yourself. Oh yeah. Go. Oh yeah, go ahead. Personality alone.
Personality.
Alone, yes.
Or
okay, start.
So I'm not doing everything together. I'm not doing any.
Read something for us quickly.
Context, yes. So, as a Nigerian with 25 years experience working with INEC, that's witnessed every single election since the country gained their independence in 1960. That's the context.
But where's the personality part of it?
We are not there.
By the way, you can mix up the crisp together. You don't need to separate it, but you can also separate it. You can even put the acronyms at the top. Context, role, you can do that. But you can write a long text and put everything inside of it. So I'm trying to see, is that what you did? I'm looking for your role. Where's the role? Who wrote the role? Read something.
Okay, Nigeria as a content. Nigeria as a country have been experiencing series of electoral violence.
Context. That's context. Role. Where's the role?
Okay, security analyst and peace diplomat.
Okay, that works. Yeah, that works. Worked in Africa. Who has worked in Africa before the world? But you can narrow. So the goal is to narrow it down. I'm just giving you improvement. Who has worked in Africa? Who has worked in the election process?
Okay, now, this one is across Uganda, Kenya, and vast countries across the universe.
Amazing. I mean, we all get the idea, right? So just narrow it down so that you get better results. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for participating. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that wonderful session, the comprehensive. To bring, can we just change around? Can we arrange our chairs back? Can we arrange our chairs back and give a resound applause to our mentor, Mr. Michael. Please sit, Mr. Michael. That's a wonderful session. To be honest, let me say that for we who actually use AI to write assignments, to copy, for work, just submit CV. AI helps me. Right now, we've learned one thing, that AI should just serve as a virtual assistant, not a dependent tool. You know, your creativity is still there. AI is not replacing hello, one house. AI, one thing we should get one straight. AI is not replacing humanity. Our creativity is there forever. So right now, I'm going to call on the chairman of CORA, Chief Lede Adeniyi, to join us on this team for a picture with our mentor. Thank you. Cameraman, please. So because if you look at the time as past 2, and we need to stretch our leg. So the evening session is going to start at 2:30. 2:30. Is that okay? So we have 30 minutes, the Ungugi session, which is the part 2. So it's going to start at 2:30, so we have 30 minutes to stretch our leg. We can go to the Green Festival, join the children there, exchange, learn about stuff about children. But once children, we need to go back there. And also, this is, don't forget, 2:30 we are coming back here. 2:30 coming back here. So 30 minutes to stretch our leg so that we can rearrange this place. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. 2:30 please, we are coming back. No winner, okay? No winner.